Chapter 11:25. There were 13 fire patterns on the golden petals. This golden petals flame lotus had reached 130,000 years of age. According to the memories in Gaditer's mind, Yi Qinfeng knew that the number of fire patterns on the petals of the golden petals flame lotus represented how long it had been growing. Every 10,000 years, a fire pattern would appear on the golden petals. The more fire patterns there were, the longer the golden petals flame lotus would grow. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test. Those 3 heavenly flames are hidden under the golden petals flame lotus. You just need to help me deal with one of the heavenly flames and leave the rest to me. The black-clothed woman looked at the golden petals flame lotus with a burning gaze. Yi Qinfeng nodded and agreed straightforwardly. Come, let's get closer and draw out those 3 heavenly flames. As she spoke, the black-clothed woman brought out a high-grade Tao artifact. There was a coiling dragon coiling around the spear, and 11 gems of different sizes embedded in it. She slowly approached the golden petals flame lotus with Yi Qinfeng, who was wielding the halberd. When the 2 of them crossed the extremely hot, dark gray flames and approached the golden petals flame lotus, the flames around the golden petals flame lotus suddenly fluctuated violently. Like layers upon layers of giant waves, they attacked Yi Qinfeng and the black-clothed woman, not allowing them to approach. Drink, the black-clothed woman shouted. A jade green with Tao diagram appeared around her body. It transformed into thousands of ancient tree roots that pierced through the sea of flames and attacked the golden petals flame lotus. Seeing the ancient tree roots condensed from the wood Tao diagram touched the golden petals flame lotus, the red, blue, and purple flames suddenly drilled out from the roots of the golden petals flame lotus. They released a destructive heat, melting the ancient tree roots like spirit snakes. In the next moment, the 3 extremely high-quality heavenly flames turned into 3 streams of light. They attacked Yi Qinfeng and the black-clothed woman, wanting to melt them. You just need to help me deal with one heavenly flame. Leave the rest to me. After this is done, I won't forget anything I promised you. Seeing the 3 heavenly flames getting closer and closer, exuding an aura of death, the black-clothed woman warned. Okay, let's go. Although Yi Qinfeng had repeatedly sensed killing intent from the black-clothed woman, he guessed that she would not fulfill her promise to him after the matter was settled. In order to protect the secret of the golden petals fire lotus, it was more likely that she would kill him. However, he deliberately tricked the black-clothed woman. He held the halberd in his hand and fought with the black, heavenly fire that was as black as ink. It had turned into a 3-meter-tall man of fire. The flames pierced the sky and were enough to melt a mid-grade Tao artifact. During the fierce battle, Yi Qinfeng purposely hid his true strength. He only used the will of heaven and earth and unleashed nearly 50 million pounds of strength. He wielded the sky-piercer halberd that weighed 300,000 pounds and fought fiercely with the black heaven flame. From the corner of her eyes, she noticed that Yi Qinfeng's attack was instantly suppressed by the black heaven flames. The woman in black didn't dare to waste any more time. She decisively burned her bloodline power and transformed into her 3-headed and 6-armed form. She took out a Gu Dao treasure shaped like a pagoda and a Gu Dao treasure shaped like a bronze turtle. She held 4 great Dao weapons and attacked the blue and purple heaven flames with all her power. 3 heads and 6 arms, someone from the Kirin kingdom. Looking at the black-clothed woman's body shape, Yi Qinfeng guessed her identity. She should be from the royal family of the Kirin kingdom. Her status in the Kirin kingdom should not be low. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to grasp the ultimate form of the Kirin kingdom that was never revealed to outsiders. After transforming into the 3-headed and 6-armed form, she controlled the 2 Gu Dao treasures and 4 great Dao weapons. The black-clothed woman immediately suppressed the blue and purple heaven flames. However, the 3 heaven flames that were born with the golden fiery lotus were of extremely high quality. In addition, They could continuously draw out the power of the sea of fire and increase their attack power. For a moment, the black-clothed woman couldn't do any serious damage to them. Boom! 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 After completely suppressing Yi Qinfeng's attack, the Black Heaven Flames suddenly burst out with shocking flames and launched 3 fatal attacks at Yi Qinfeng. Each layer was stronger than the last. The destructive power of the 3rd heavenly flame instantly shattered Yi Qinfeng's attack. It shattered the defensive golden light and sent him flying. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth, staining it with blood. "I can't hold on any longer. You take care of yourself." As he was injured, Yi Qinfeng transmitted a message to the black-clothed woman, whose expression changed slightly. "Hold on for a while longer. I will take care of them soon." The black-clothed woman frowned slightly. She didn't expect Yi Qinfeng to be so weak. However, in order to obtain the golden fiery lotus that was extremely important to her, she took out a crystal that had a powerful will sealed within it from her yin and yang ring. Originally, she didn't want to use the demonic saint's will, but Yi Qinfeng's early defeat had disrupted her plans. In order to take advantage of the opportunity when the black heavenly flame was attacking Yi Qinfeng with all its might to pluck the golden petal fire lotus, she couldn't care less. Crack! The will crystal shattered. The terrifying demonic beast saints will spread out from the crystal and entered her body crazily, increasing her strength. In the blink of an eye, the black-clothed woman's strength reached the limit of nirvana and touched nirvana. With the increase in her strength, the black-clothed woman unleashed her attack power to the extreme. She controlled the 2 Gu Dao treasure and the 4 Dao soldiers to attack crazily. They constantly tore apart the attacks of the 2 heaven flames and damaged their bodies. Suddenly, Yi Qinfeng, who was pretending to be heavily injured, flew out of the fire pit, leaving the black-clothed woman alone in the fire pit. Damn it! Seeing Yi Qinfeng running away and the terrifying black heaven flames attacking her, the black-clothed woman's expression changed drastically. Buzz! Buzz! The 3 heaven flames revolved around the black-clothed woman's body and immediately formed a natural array. They blended together and attacked the black-clothed woman crazily. The 3 heaven flames constantly shattered her body's defense and damaged her body. The black-clothed woman was afraid of the heaven fire array formed by the 3 heaven flames. Back when she discovered the golden fire lotus, she was injured by the heaven fire array formed by the 3 heaven flames. In the end, she was defeated and fled. "Trash, just you wait. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, I will definitely kill you." Initially, the black-clothed woman wanted to deal with the 3 heaven flames before killing Yi Qinfeng to keep the secret of the golden fire lotus. However, she did not expect that Yi Qinfeng would be defeated and run away after she used her strongest trump card and merged with the demonic beast saint's will. This made her teeth itch, and she regretted cooperating with Yi Qinfeng. However, it was too late to regret now. She had no choice but to defeat the 3 heaven flames and pluck the golden fire lotus. Her efforts were in vain. Blood chi ignition, the black-clothed woman gritted her teeth and quickly ignited her powerful blood chi. She attacked the purple and blue heaven flames that she had severely injured with all her might. As long as she could defeat 1 heaven flame, she would be able to break the heaven fire array that was a great threat to her. Boom! 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 A series of deafening explosions sounded from the depths of the stove bed. The terrifying power shook the entire space. Waves of destructive power surged in all directions like a tidal wave. The entire stove bed was in complete chaos. Under the black-clothed woman's all-out attack, the purple and blue heaven flames that she had severely injured were getting more and more damaged. Crisscrossing cracks appeared in the flames, and the power of the heaven fire array was constantly decreasing. The black-clothed woman also paid a great price. Her body was constantly being injured by the 3 heaven flames. The protective armor on her body was even more severely damaged. Half of her body was charred black. After fighting fiercely for more than an hour, when both sides were severely injured, the black-clothed woman suddenly seized the opportunity and threw out the 4 Tao soldiers. They turned into 4 streams of light and attacked the black heaven flame that was attacking the most fiercely. Immediately after, she merged the 2 Tao diagrams into the 2 Gu Tao treasures. She activated the power of the Gu Tao treasure and attacked the purple heaven flame that was the most damaged. True Qilin, sealed the black heaven flame, was forced back by the 4 Tao soldiers, and the purple heaven flame was shattered by the 2 Gu Tao treasures. The black-clothed woman did not care about the consumption. She moved her 6 arms and controlled the powerful Tao pattern to form a mighty Qilin. It trampled on the space and ruthlessly crashed into the last ball of blue heaven flame, just as the black-clothed woman was using all her strength to severely injure the 2 heaven flames. A stream of light suddenly appeared at an extremely fast speed. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng, who had left and returned, suddenly appeared beside the golden flaming lotus. Before the black-clothed woman could attack, he controlled the 9 dragon diagram to suppress the restless golden flaming lotus and transplanted it into the universe mirror. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 11:26. Seeking Death. The woman in black never thought that she would be tricked by Yi Qinfeng. She risked her life to injure the 2 sky fires, but it all ended up in his hands. She was so angry that she almost went crazy. Taking advantage of the woman in black's carelessness, he successfully transplanted the golden fiery lotus into the universe mirror. Yi Qinfeng didn't stay for long. He used his sword steps to escape from the fire bed at an extremely fast speed. Where could he escape to? The furious woman in black roared and increased her speed to the peak. She chased after Yi Qinfeng at an extremely fast speed. She was determined to stop him and take back the golden fiery lotus. Wrath of God's punishment when Yi Qinfeng escaped to the entrance of the stove, the purple beginnings sacred thunder, dual polarity ancient heavenly water, and death blaze heavenly fire appeared on his body. They quickly merged and formed a terrifying divine might. It was like the angry roar of a deity as it bombarded the black-clothed woman who was chasing after him. Suddenly attacked by the wrath of God's punishment, the woman in black immediately formed the wood Tao diagram and the fire Tao diagram in front of her to block the attack. Gu Jiangna, sword heart, connected to the moon when the woman in black used the power of the 2 Tao diagrams to forcefully tear apart the wrath of God's punishment. Yi Qinfeng took out the extreme gray Tao artifact, Ice Dragon Sword, and slashed out a sword that contained the sound of Tao. He slashed out with his sword, and the sword light that was like a mountain was branded with the mark of the grand Tao that multiplied like a bright moon that shone high up in the sky. It emanated boundless Tao insight pressure that shattered everything, and it mixed together with the terrifying tune of the grand Tao as it blasted towards the black-clothed young woman, whose expression went grim. Crack, 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 the 2 Tao diagrams were attacked by Gu Jiangna, and immediately crisscross cracks appeared on them. The terrifying sword power passed through the Tao diagrams and continuously attacked the woman in black's body, worsening her injuries. Damn kid, I will kill you today. After seeing Yi Qinfeng's shocking attack power, the woman in black knew that she was tricked. She was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. She continued to burn her powerful blood qi to suppress her injuries and controlled the 2 Gu Dao treasures to attack Yi Qinfeng. After fusing with the powerful vital energy, blood, and Dao intent infused by the woman in black, the fist-sized ancient Dao treasure bronze tortoise continued to grow in size, and it turned into a lifelike golden tortoise. It emitted a dazzling golden light, and it was like a small mountain. It carried the power of Dao intent that caused others to feel fear as it attacked Yi Qinfeng. And the moment the Gu Dao treasure golden turtle attacked, the woman in black controlled another Gu Dao treasure pagoda from the sky. It released a suffocating suppression power and smashing towards Yi Qinfeng. 9 Dragon Diagram, Suppression. The black-robed woman controlled the 2 ancient path treasures to attack. Yi Qinfeng did not panic. With a thought, he controlled the mid-grade Saint Treasure, Jiao Portrait, to appear on his body. Borrowing the power of the 9 Jiao spirits, he suppressed the 2 ancient path treasures. What Saint Treasure? Seeing her 2 Gu Dao treasures being suppressed by the 9 Dragon Diagram in an instant, the woman in black raised her eyebrows and revealed a shocked expression. She didn't expect that Yi Qinfeng, who was a level 4 combat beast emperor, not only had a shocking attack power, but also a terrifying foundation. He actually had a saint treasure that was almost extinct in the central continent. Yin-yang chessboard. While the woman in black was shocked, Yi Qinfeng took out the yin-yang chessboard that he obtained from killing Elder Zhe. He spat a mouthful of blood essence into the chessboard and controlled the yin-yang chessboard to fall off one by one. Like cold stars, they flew towards the woman in black. When the woman in black held the coiling dragon spear and interweaved a sharp spearlight to block the yin-yang chessboard, she suddenly recognized the origin of the yin-yang chessboard and exclaimed, "Why is Elder Zhe's yin-yang chessboard in your hands?" Facing the woman in black's questioning, Yi Qinfeng didn't care at all. He instantly ignited his 3 great bloodlines and took out the demonic blood diagram, fusing it with this evil demonic treasure and raising his strength to the limit. "Who the hell are you?" Feeling that Yi Qinfeng's strength was close to Nirvana's level in an instant, the crazily rising body emitted a suffocating pressure. The soul power and Tao intent in his body surged like a torrential river. The woman in black was intimidated. "You talk too much nonsense." With that, Yi Qinfeng, whose strength had soared to the limit, tore apart the sea of fire with the ice dragon's sword and approached the woman in black. 1 line sword chop with 1 slash, the entire sea of fire dimmed. The terrifying Tao might with the power of mountains and rivers stabbed towards the woman in black's chest at a speed several times faster than normal. Feeling the possibility of Yi Qinfeng's sword, the woman in black reacted instinctively. She poured her Tao intent into the coiling dragon spear and stabbed it out like a dragon emerging from the sea. The momentum was astonishing. She resisted Yi Qinfeng's sword with all her strength. When the 2 Taoist treasures collided, a force of more than 100 million pounds exploded in Yi Qinfeng's arm. The terrifying force passed through the coiled dragon spear and into the arm of the woman in black. The shock numbed her arm and continued to worsen her injuries. How could it be? How could he have such great strength in his realm? Feeling the powerful force from the coiling dragon spear, the woman in black's heart was set off a huge wave. It could be said that Yi Qinfeng's strength had broken her understanding of the beast emperor realm and made her fearful. Sound of the great Tao, song of the ancient underworld. While the woman in black was shocked, the god-eater brain quickly deduced. A large number of sound patterns appeared in Yi Qinfeng's sea of soul and played the song of the ancient underworld. It fluctuated the void and bombarded the woman in black's body and soul. Puff! Suddenly attacked by the song of the ancient underworld, the heavily injured woman in black immediately felt a sharp pain in her soul. Streams of blood flowed out from her 7 orifices. 3 heads and 6 arms. Her injuries continued to worsen, but the woman in black didn't escape. She transformed into the ultimate form of 3 heads and 6 arms again. She was determined to kill Yi Qinfeng and take back the golden fire lotus, as well as everything on Yi Qinfeng. Humph! Do you think you're the only one with 3 heads and 6 arms? When Yi Qinfeng saw the black-clothed woman attacking with 6 great Tao weapons, he transformed into his 3-headed, 6-armed form as well. He charged forward with 6 great Tao weapons in his hands and began to fight intensely with her in the dark gray sea of flames. "Who are you?" Seeing that Yi Qinfeng actually knew the secret skills of the Kirin kingdom, the woman in black revealed a look of disbelief. She really wanted to know who he was. Cosmos sword formation. While the woman in black was questioning, Yi Chen-feng stabbed out again. With one stab, the 36 Cosmos swords flew out of his body and quickly formed a formation diagram. With a sweeping stance, they attacked the woman in black. 6 Tao weapons block. The woman in black's expression changed slightly. She immediately controlled the 6 Tao weapons to block the tide-like attacks of the Cosmos sword formation. However, the Cosmos sword formation was too powerful, and she was too heavily injured. She couldn't use her full strength at all. Under the attack of the Cosmos sword formation, the 6 Tao weapons were blown away. Her voluptuous body was pierced by the Cosmos sword, and a large amount of blood flowed out uncontrollably. Cosmos sword formation combine. The woman in black retreated with injuries. Yi Chen-feng immediately controlled the 36 Cosmos swords to combine together, forming a huge sword that was dozens of feet long. With the enhancement of the bronze sword soul, it was like the Milky Way hanging high in the sky. It gave off a sword aura that made people shudder. Slash! With a thought from Yi Chen-feng, the Cosmos sword descended from the sky, slashing towards the woman in black, who was trying to dodge with all her might. Suddenly, the soul power in Yi Chen-feng's mind exploded, forming a terrifying dizziness force that blasted into her soul sea, causing her to pause for a moment. Although she had regained consciousness in an instant, this short pause was fatal. Qi, the Cosmos sword that was fused with the will of the great Tao and the bronze sword soul, slashed down. Under the attack of this sword, the mountains and rivers were about to break, and the sky and earth were about to change color. Although the woman in black tried her best to defend, she still couldn't block the attack of the Cosmos sword. More than half of her body was slashed by this sword, and a large amount of blood spurted out uncontrollably. With her body heavily injured, the woman in black wanted to crush the Heaven Fire token to escape, but Yi Chen-feng's attack speed was faster. Under the control of his mind, the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus appeared in his body and fused with almost all of Yi Chen-feng's soul power, turning into a murderous dragon that bombarded the woman in black's broken body. Boom! The 6-fold fire cave trembled violently for a moment, and crisscrossing cracks appeared in the hard space. Under the attack of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, the woman in black's broken body was smashed, and even her soul was crushed, leaving no bones behind. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 11:27. Withdraw. Seizing the opportunity when the black-clothed woman was injured by the 3 heavenly fires, Yi Chen-feng used his trump card to kill her. Ignoring the fact that his body was weak, Yi Chen-feng immediately took away her belongings and quickly left the vicinity of the extremely hot brick bed. He found a relatively remote place and drank the heaven-returning water to recover the soul power that he had almost exhausted. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test. Yi Chen-feng originally wanted to summon the sword puppet to help during the fierce battle with the black-clothed woman, but the 9-fold inferno caverns were too mysterious. He was afraid that the appearance of the sword puppet without the heavenly fire tablet would be discovered and cause unnecessary trouble. In the end, he resisted the impulse. About 6 hours later, Yi Chen-feng drank an entire bottle of heavenly returning water and recovered a portion of his soul power. He continued to search for the entrance to the 7-fold inferno caverns. Finally, under his persevering efforts, he found the entrance to the 7-fold caverns of flames and dove into it. The flames in the 7-fold inferno caverns were actually bone white. Its power was only slightly weaker than the solitary heavenly fire that Yu Yan subdued. After entering the 7-fold inferno caverns, Yi Chen-feng saw a vast expanse of white before him. The bone-white flames burned his body painfully. In order to reduce the effects of the bone-white flames on himself, Yi Chen-feng hurriedly covered his body with the death blaze, heavenly fire, and dual-polar ancient heavenly water to resist the corrosion of the bone-white flames. Golden body arts to be cautious. Yi Chen-feng used golden body arts to cover his body with a layer of defensive light. Only then did he enter the sevenfold inferno caverns, where the temperature was so high that it could damage a high-grade Dao artifact. He searched for the entrance to the Eightfold inferno caverns. According to Wang Tian Marquis, the legendary sacred fire could only be born in the 8th and 9th levels of the ninefold inferno caverns. Therefore, if he wanted to capture the sacred fire that was so important to him, he had to take the risk and dive into the last 2 levels of the ninefold inferno caverns. When Yi Chen-feng entered the sevenfold caverns of flames, a white-haired old man with no signs of life immediately sensed it. His entire body had fused with the ninefold caverns of flames, and they could not be distinguished from each other. He revealed a look of surprise. This white-haired old man was the artifact spirit of the ninefold inferno cave. He had guarded the ninefold inferno cave for countless years. Only when someone entered the sevenfold inferno cave would he be alarmed. Interesting. Who would have thought that 2 peerless geniuses would enter the sevenfold inferno caves today? They were actually able to withstand the burning flames of the sevenfold inferno caves, even though they were only Class 4 and Class 5 beast tempers. The white-haired old man revealed a playful smile and muttered to himself, "It seems that it is necessary to give you some rewards. However, only one person can get this reward. The winner will depend on your ability." With that, the white-haired old man used his extraordinary means to move a Saint Pill that had been nurtured in the ninefold inferno caverns for an unknown number of years and had exceeded the limit of the Dahan continent, into the sevenfold inferno caverns. Yes, soul force. Just now, a powerful soul force seemed to have appeared in the sevenfold caves of flames. When the white-haired old man moved the Saint Pill, which was enough to make Nirvana heavenly realm experts go crazy, into the sevenfold caves of flames, it was coincidentally sensed by the keen God-eater brain. Yi Chen-feng raised his eyebrows and looked around, revealing a trace of surprise. Just as he was controlling the God-eater brain to deduce and sense the movements in the surroundings, the rapidly deducing God-eater brain sensed the existence of the Saint Pill in the sevenfold caves of flames. At the same time, a man with long, fiery red hair, a body as tall and straight as a steel spear, eyes like lightning, a triangular flame pattern flashing on his forehead, and an ancient map floating above his head, also sensed the existence of the Saint Pill. He approached the Saint Pill at an extremely fast speed. It was a Saint Pill that had been nurtured in the Inferno caves of flames. The red-haired man was the first to appear. He saw that in the depths of the sevenfold caverns of fire, there was a fiery red lotus pedestal. And on top of this lotus pedestal was a longan-sized white pill that emitted a thick medicinal fragrance and had a single pill mark winding around it. Although the white pill only had one pill pattern, the red-haired man still felt that it was extraordinary at first glance. He had a feeling that this pill in front of him was the highest quality pill he had ever seen in his life. It was also a great opportunity in his life. If he could obtain it, it might change the course of his life. Just as he was about to approach the white pill, his expression changed slightly. He felt a vague aura approaching him at an incredible speed. This place is occupied by the fire spirit saint. Whoever dares to approach will be killed without mercy. The red-haired man warned in a domineering manner. The killing intent in his body suddenly erupted. He was like a wolf that had been lurking for a long time. He bared his sharp fangs, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. Whoever dared to approach his territory without permission, he would definitely give that person a fatal blow. So it was the fire spirit saint. Before they left, Mu Qinghua told Yi Chen-feng about several famous heavenly masters and holy masters in the central continent. Among them, the flame spirit saint child, who came from the sacred fire valley, was young but possessed extraordinary strength. He had a 9-star Heavenly Master badge and was only a step away from becoming a sacred master. Mu Qinghua was full of praise for him. However, Yi Qinfeng was unmoved by the flame spirit Saint Sun's warning. Through his God-eater brain, he was certain that the white pill on the lotus seat was definitely a saint pill that surpassed the limits of the Duhan continent. If he could obtain it, not only could he use this saint pill to break through to the level 5 Beast Emperor season, he could also study the saint pill's markings and prepare for the Heavenly Halls competition. Damn it, a mere level 4 Beast Emperor. How dare you not listen to my warning? You're really courting death. The flame spirit Saint Sun saw that Yi Qinfeng ignored his warning and continued to approach. He was furious. Floating above his head, the ancient painting with the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers shone with endless light. It was like a feather of light that traveled through time and space. It shot toward Yi Qinfeng, low-grade, sacred treasure feeling the power of the sun, moon, mountain, river painting. Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate to summon the Jiujiao painting to counter the attack. The moment the two sacred treasures attacked each other, the destructive power was like the boundless sea. It was vast and mighty, and the terrifying power made people want to kneel down. Well, I didn't expect you to have a sacred treasure too. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng controlled the Jiujiao painting to block the attack of his sun, moon, mountain, river painting, the flame spirit Saint Sun was surprised. The way he looked at Yi Qinfeng changed subtly. However, he was determined to get the saint pill in front of him. Anyone who dared to touch it would be his mortal enemy. How could there be a saint pill here? Yi Qinfeng did not pay attention to the flame spirit Saint Sun. His eyes were completely attracted by the saint pill on the lotus seat. Several thoughts flashed through his mind. He had a feeling that the appearance of this saint pill was too strange. It was as if someone deliberately left it here. I'll count to 3. If you don't get out of here, don't blame me for being ruthless and taking your life. The flame spirit Saint Sun looked at Yi Qinfeng with sharp eyes and warned him. Yi Qinfeng said fearlessly as he shifted his gaze to the flame spirit Holy Sun. His lips curled up slightly as he smiled. Then he said fearlessly, "Don't you think you are too naive?" Okay. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. I hope you won't regret it when you go to hell. As the flame spirit Saint Sun spoke, monstrous Taoist will burst out from his body. An ancient beast shadow appeared on his body, increasing his strength. The next moment, a supreme-grade Taoist sword inlaid with white gems, 6 feet and 6 inches long, with dragon-shaped patterns on the sword blade, appeared in his hand. When he grasped the firmament sword, a top-grade doctrine artifact, his entire aura changed drastically. The sword diagram appeared on his body. He was like a divine sword that had been unsheathed. He pointed his sword at Yi Qinfeng, thirsting for blood. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1128. Well, I didn't expect you to be a master of swordsmanship. Looking at the sword Dao diagram that appeared behind the Saint of Fire Spirit, Yi Qinfeng showed a sharp smile and said, "What a coincidence, I also practice swordsmanship. Let's see whose swordsmanship is better today." Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test as he spoke. The ice dragon sword appeared in Yi Qinfeng's hand. The sword Dao diagram also appeared behind him, pointing at the Saint of Fire Spirit. I will let you know how stupid it is to be my enemy. The Saint of Fire Spirit's pupils shrank. The sword Dao diagram that appeared behind him released a large number of sword Dao patterns. Like a rolling tide, they rushed into the firmament sword and stabbed at Yi Qinfeng. The sword swept across the sky, killing without mercy. The Saint of Fire Spirit's sword was extremely terrifying. Its attack power was beyond the limit of a level 6 combat Beast Emperor. Boundless heavenly sword Yi Qinfeng shook his wrist, and a large number of sword Dao patterns fell from the ice dragon sword. A sword light that looked like the great path slashed down, bringing with it the power to destroy everything. It intertwined with the sword light that the fire spirit Saint Sun had stabbed out. The two sword lights intertwined, stirring up endless fire. A large number of sword Dao patterns spread out and fought fiercely in the void. They were evenly matched. Yi Qinfeng and the Saint of Fire Spirit continued to attack each other at the same time. They fought each other with speed and strength. For a moment, the space where the two were formed a horrible wind. Harsh cracking sounds kept exploding, and the whole space was full of sword marks. The Saint of Fire Spirit really had the right to be arrogant. His strength was so terrifying. After fighting fiercely with the Saint of Fire Spirit for half an hour, Yi Qinfeng found that the Saint of Fire Spirit had endless attacking methods, and his understanding of swordsmanship was not weaker than his. Bronze sword soul fuse. Yi Qinfeng moved his mind, and the bronze sword soul flew out of his sea of soul and fused into the ice dragon sword. In an instant, the attack power of the ice dragon sword was raised to the limit. The mighty patterns of the great path continued to revolve around the tip of the ice dragon sword. Yi Qinfeng swung his sword and shattered the sword light of the flame, Spirit Saint Sun. Like a cold star, he stabbed towards the flame, Spirit Saint Sun's chest. Yi Qinfeng's sword came from the sky. The flame, Spirit Saint Sun's pupils shrank, and he instantly changed his move. In an instant, he stabbed out 3 times, forming a triangle shape and continuously colliding fiercely with Yi Qinfeng's ice dragon sword. The fire spirit Saint Sun's attack was extremely powerful, but it could not block the ice dragon sword that had fused with the bronze sword soul. With a shake of Yi Qinfeng's wrist, the ice dragon sword crushed the fire spirit Saint Sun's sword light like a hot knife through butter. A beam of sword light mixed with several wills of the great path flew past, as if it was going to split the world. It slashed toward the Saint Sun of Fire Spirit, whose expression changed slightly, forcing him to dodge to one side. Bloodline burning, although he had dodged Yi Qinfeng's sword, the proud Saint Sun of Fire Spirit felt extremely humiliated. He quickly burned the power of his bloodline, and the triangular fire pattern on his forehead reflected endless flames, greatly increasing his strength. Divine Demon Bloodline, Divine Lord Bloodline, burning facing the Fire Spirit Saint Sun. Yi Qinfeng did not dare to be careless. The moment he burned the power of his bloodline, Yi Qinfeng also burned 2 bloodlines, greatly increasing his strength. He continued to attack with the ice dragon's sword in his hand. For a moment, the 2 invincible divine swords crossed the void space, tore the earth, and collided fiercely. The space where the sword Qi cut through appeared crisscrossing sword marks, which did not disappear for a long time. Cosmos sword formation just as the 2 of them were fighting fiercely. Yi Qinfeng suddenly changed his move. He stabbed out with his sword, and 36 Cosmos sword formations flew out, instantly turning into the Cosmos sword diagram. With ear-piercing sounds, they attacked the fire spirit Saint Sun intensively. Bronze sword soul fused when Yi Qinfeng urged the Cosmos sword formation to attack with full force. He merged the bronze sword soul into the Cosmos sword formation, increasing the attack of the Cosmos sword. The Cosmos sword slashed down, as if they could break the void space and tear the earth apart, bringing great pressure to the fire spirit Saint Sun. Heavenly fire diagrammed the attack was suppressed by Yi Qinfeng's Cosmos sword formation. The fire spirit Saint Sun decisively summoned a powerful diagram. When he merged with the diagram, the hot energy of the 7-fold fire cave crazily merged into the diagram, turning into pure energy that merged into his body, increasing his strength. Cosmos sword formation fuse when the fire spirit Saint Sun used the heavenly fire diagram to fight back. Yi Qinfeng controlled the 36 Cosmos swords to merge together and slashed at him with the force of swallowing the heavenly river. The vast Qinkuan sword slashed down. It was as if it was going to destroy the foundation of this world and shatter the entire space. It made the flame Spirit Saint Sun feel like the end of the world was coming. His unyielding heart trembled for some reason. Boom! The Cosmos sword slashed down, and the terrible sword power shattered the Fire Spirit Saint Sun's attack and slashed at his head. Once his head was hit by the Cosmos sword, he would undoubtedly be killed. Sun, Moon, Mountain, River Diagram. Defense at the critical moment. The Fire Spirit Saint Sun controlled the low-grade holy treasure to float above his head. With the power of this holy treasure, he blocked the fatal blow of the Cosmos sword. What? Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why did you use the holy treasure now? Yi Qinfeng looked at the Fire Spirit Saint Sun, whose face was ugly and whose blood and qi were rolling violently in his body. He sneered coldly. I thought you were a great person, but now it seems that you are just a coward. You want to die? The Fire Spirit Saint Sun had never been humiliated like this. He roared angrily and continued to merge the heavenly fire diagram. He held the firmament sword in his hand and slashed at Yi Qinfeng. He was determined to kill Yi Qinfeng to vent his anger. 200 million kilograms of power burst out. The Fire Spirit Saint Sun was like an enraged lion. He attacked crazily. Yi Qinfeng immediately activated the power of his 5 acupoints and held the Ice Dragon's sword to meet the attack. When the Supreme Grade Ice Dragon's sword collided with the Firmament sword, a terrifying force shattered the surging soul power and Tao will in the Firmament sword. It passed into the flame Spirit Saint Sun's arm, causing his skin and flesh to split open. A large amount of blood flowed out. Stun art just as the Fire Spirit Saint Sun was shocked. The soul power in Yi Qinfeng's brain exploded, forming a terrible stun power. It blasted into his sea of soul, making his reaction a little slower. Then Yi Qinfeng activated the strongest power of the bronze sword soul and merged it into the Ice Dragon sword. The sword pierced through the air and stabbed toward the Fire Spirit Saint Sun's chest. For a moment, the Ice Dragon's sword roared. An ice dragon with natural Tao patterns flew out of the tip of the Ice Dragon sword and slashed toward the Fire Spirit Saint Sun, whose reaction was greatly reduced. Qi, the Fire Spirit Saint Sun, who couldn't dodge in time, was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's sword. The upper grade Tao battle armor he was wearing had a half-meter-long sword mark. A large amount of blood spurted out uncontrollably and dyed his body red. After heavily injuring the Holy Son of Fire Spirit with one strike, Yi Qinfeng did not give him any chance to catch his breath. Holding the Ice Dragon sword in his hand, he continued to launch fatal attacks at him, wanting to kill him in one go and end the battle. At the critical moment, the Fire Spirit Saint Sun rolled on the ground and quickly dodged to the side, blocking Yi Qinfeng's fatal attack. Let's see how many times you can dodge. Yi Qinfeng showed a trace of arrogance. He attacked with full force with the Ice Dragon's sword in his hand, forcing the Fire Spirit Saint Sun to float the Sun, Moon, Mountain, River diagram in front of him to protect his body. He blocked Yi Qinfeng's tide-like attacks. The peerless genius of the Central Continent, the arrogant Fire Spirit Saint Sun, was completely suppressed by Yi Qinfeng. He was in danger. The friend who will post the photo of Jiao Yuyan tomorrow adds the public account. YLTY83 mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1129. Powerful. I didn't expect the level 4 Beast Emperor to be so powerful. He had so many tricks up his sleeves and suppressed the demon so quickly. If the demon didn't have any other tricks up his sleeves, then he was destined not to get the divine pill. Hidden in the sevenfold fire cave, the white-haired elder who had been secretly watching the battle between the two top geniuses revealed a rare smile and kept commenting in his heart. Puff! The fire spirit saint controlled the sun, moon, mountain, river diagram and used all his strength to resist Yi Qinfeng's fierce attacks. However, he was still sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's sword and fell heavily on the ground, aggravating his injuries. Heavenly fire double change being in an absolute disadvantage. The fire spirit saint sun used his last trump card. He completely merged with the sky fire formation. 2 sky fires appeared in his body. With the power of the 2 sky fires, he performed the secret technique that the sacred fire valley never taught to outsiders. His power instantly increased by 2 times. Die. With his strength skyrocketing, the fire spirit saint, who was covered in blood, condensed the water and fire diagram. He controlled the 2 diagrams to launch a counterattack, trying to turn the situation around. Supernatural power. Tyrannical kick the saint of fire spirit attacked crazily. Yi Qinfeng flew up into the sky and took a step forward. The sky and earth were suppressed, and everything was wailing. The tyrant kick was so heavy that it crushed the saint of fire spirits, sword light, one after another. It forced Yi Qinfeng to retreat. Supernatural power. True dragon transformation in the next moment. Yi Qinfeng burned his dragon bloodline and increased his soul power by 7 times. He turned into an extraordinary blood dragon, exuding a power that was as boundless as the abyss. It tore apart the bone-white sea of fire and attacked the fire spirit saint, whose face changed drastically. Hum! When Yi Qinfeng used the real dragon transformation and clashed with the sun and moon mountain and river diagram that the saint of fire spirit had hurriedly put in front of him, terrifying dragon roars sounded everywhere. The terrifying blood dragon continued to explode with shocking power, shattering the power of the sun and moon mountain and river diagram. It brought great pressure to the saint of fire spirit, worsening his injuries and forcing him to retreat step by step. And this was a side branch divine ability of the dragon race. This little fellow was not simple, his luck deep, actually learning this kind of divine ability, truly making others envious. After witnessing the scene of Yi Qinfeng using the true dragon transformation, the white-haired elder developed a strong interest in him and continued to hide in the shadows to watch the battle. Sun, moon, mountain, river diagram break. The flame spirit saint sun kept spitting blood into the sun and moon mountain and river, painting to stimulate its attacking power. Finally, it broke Yi Qinfeng's true dragon transformation. Qing Tian Ju, desolate furnace of heaven. When Yi Qinfeng returned to his original form, he increased the speed of the green heaven spell to its maximum. He performed the 3rd move of the green heaven spell, which was also the most powerful move, to attack the fire spirit saint sun. Boom! The heavens and earth were in turmoil, and a sea of fire was rising and falling. Under Yi Qinfeng's full power, the rolling will of the way and the power of heaven merged together and transformed into a desolate furnace with innate patterns. With the pressure of the way of heaven, it suppressed the saint sun of flame spirit, who was controlling the sun, moon, mountain, river diagram to defend himself with all his might. Boom! The desolate furnace of heaven suppressed the sun and moon, mountain, river diagram. The explosive power directly twisted the space of the 7-fold fire cave. Everything within a few miles fell into chaos at this moment. Boom! When the fire spirit saint sun used the sun and moon mountain river diagram to defend against the desolate furnace of heaven, Yi Qinfeng roared and detonated the desolate furnace of heaven, launching the most fatal attack. Boom! The desolate furnace of heaven exploded. The terrifying power was like a star falling to the ground, destroying the space. It was terrifying. The overbearing destructive power was like a big mouth that swallowed the fire spirit saint sun, who couldn't dodge in time. It crazily destroyed his body and aggravated his injuries. If the fire spirit saint sun didn't use the sun and moon mountain river diagram and all his defensive trump cards to defend himself, this attack was enough to make him lose the ability to fight. Powerful. Did this little guy come from the 9 heavens God kingdom? He had mastered the green heaven spell and cultivated the most powerful move of the Green Heaven spell. It seemed that he was most likely the owner of that divine pill. The white-haired elder recognized the origin of the desolate furnace of heaven immediately. He was a little curious about Yi Qinfeng's identity. Fire Spirit Saint Sun, you have lost. Just admit defeat. Yi Qinfeng looked at the Fire Spirit Saint Sun, who spat out blood and flew dozens of meters away. He summoned the 9-dragon diagram and controlled the 9-dragon diagram to suppress the Sun and Moon Mountain River diagram and put pressure on the Fire Spirit Saint Sun. When the two saint treasures fought fiercely, the 9-dragon diagram suppressed the Sun and Moon Mountain River diagram with the advantage of level and the 9-dragon spirits. At this time, Yi Qinfeng used his physical power to the extreme. He stepped on the sword and flashed in front of the severely injured Fire Spirit Saint Sun. He swung the Ice Dragon's sword and slashed. This sword was filled with 100 million pounds of power. This sword had combined the bronze sword spirit and the will of the Great Path. When the sword slashed down, it was like a mountain. The terrifying power extinguished the fiercely tumbling, bone-white flame instantly. Although the Fire Spirit Saint Sun had doubled his strength with the help of the two sky fires, his injuries were too serious. He could not resist Yi Qinfeng's Ice Dragon sword at all. Every time the Ice Dragon's sword with the shadow of the Ice Dragon fell, the Fire Spirit Saint Sun would spit out blood and retreat. His arms were almost broken and shattered by the power of more than 100 million pounds. Double Sky Fire explode for me. His injuries kept getting worse. He could not resist Yi Qinfeng's fierce attacks. The Fire Spirit Saint Sun controlled the two sky fires to merge together and formed a double-colored fireball. He attacked Yi Qinfeng and detonated the fireball when it was close to Yi Qinfeng. However, after transforming into the godly demon body, Yi Qinfeng's physical body was almost at the level of a top-grade Tao artifact. The explosion of the double sky fire could not hurt his body at all. Relying on his absolute defense to withstand the Fire Spirit Saint Sun's desperate counterattack, Yi Qinfeng's entire body flew into the air again. He merged perfectly with the Ice Dragon sword. In the next moment, under the control of Yi Qinfeng's mind, 36 Qinkuan swords fell like rain. They were distributed around the Fire Spirit Saint Sun's body, completely restricting his space to dodge. Just as the Fire Spirit Saint Sun was about to break out, a bell-like voice rang out. It pierced his ears and made his soul tremble inexplicably. Gu Jianga, heart of the sword bright moon. The 5 elements Tao diagram, the life and death Tao diagram, and the sword Tao diagram appeared on his body. Yi Qinfeng deduced the Tao intent to the extreme. The rolling Tao intent turned into an invincible sword. It was like the Milky Way hanging high in the sky. It crossed the entire sky. When the sword slashed out, the sun and the moon shone. The Fire Spirit Saint Sun was completely stunned. The heavenly fire extreme with his life hanging by a thread. The Fire Spirit Saint Sun's full strength was completely stimulated. He performed the sacred fire palace's magical secret method. The 2 sky fires and the 2 Tao diagrams that he had subdued in his body were pushed to the extreme. They formed an explosive flame that was like the wrath of the heavens. Boom! The heart of the sword bright moon and the heavenly fire extreme collided. The movement covered all the sounds in the 7-fold fire cave. The destructive power that was like the end of the world instantly swallowed the Fire Spirit Saint Sun, who could not dodge in time and tore his body apart. Seeing that the Fire Spirit Saint Sun was about to be torn apart by this destructive power, a strange teleportation power wrapped around his broken body and teleported him directly out of the 7-fold fire cave. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the bookmark at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1130. Sky-splitting hand, retract. The flame spirit saint teleported away. Yi Chenfeng, who had consumed a lot of energy, did not waste any time. He immediately used sky-splitting hand to grab the divine elixir on the lotus seat. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test. The sky-splitting hand broke through the defensive light of the lotus seat and grabbed the divine elixir. The divine elixir seemed to have a life of its own and suddenly escaped. Where did it run to? Yi Chenfeng roared and used the sword step to intercept the divine elixir. The 5 elements Tao diagram and the life and death Tao diagram appeared on his body, releasing a powerful Tao will to suppress the divine elixir. Under the suppression of the 2 Tao diagrams, the divine elixir finally behaved. Yi Chenfeng cast hundreds of forbidden runes to restrain it and put it into a jade box that emitted traces of spiritual qi. After successfully subduing the divine elixir, Yi Chenfeng immediately looked at the lotus seat. He wanted to subdue it as well, but when he looked at the lotus seat, his pupils shrank and he was shocked. The lotus seat in the bone-white sea of fire had mysteriously disappeared. Did someone just come here? Yi Chenfeng frowned slightly and muttered to himself. He felt that the appearance of this divine elixir was very strange. He became more careful. While recovering his injuries and consumed soul power, he looked for the entrance to the Eightfold Inferno. When there was only 1 day left, Yi Chenfeng finally found the entrance to the 8th-layer Cavern of Flames. He entered the 8th-layer Cavern of Flames without hesitation. Interesting. This little guy is really bold. He dares to enter the Eightfold Inferno with his strength as a 4th-grade Beast Emperor. Isn't he afraid of being burned to ashes by the flames in the Eightfold Inferno? When Yi Chenfeng entered the dark Eightfold Inferno, the white-haired elder sensed it immediately. He showed a trace of interest and continued to observe him secretly. What a high temperature! The flames in the Eightfold Inferno had definitely reached the peak of heavenly fire, comparable to the death flame, heavenly fire. Being in the Eightfold Inferno, the defensive golden light that covered Yi Chenfeng's body melted directly. Although the death flame, heavenly fire, and dual polarity ancient heavenly water were constantly restraining the black flames, Yi Chenfeng still felt an intense burning sensation on his skin. It was as if his entire body was about to melt. Chaos Divine Wood. Feeling the power of the black flames, Yi Chenfeng did not dare to be careless. He immediately controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to extend thousands of strands of roots, covering his entire body and devouring the black flames, burning his body. With the suppression of the Chaos Divine Wood, the black flames were practically unable to cause any harm to Yi Chenfeng's body, which was comparable to a high-grade Tao artifact. He no longer hesitated and flew into the sea of black flames. He completely released his soul power and searched for the holy flames in the 8-layered caverns of flames. Formidable. This little fellow was truly not simple. He had quite a few secrets on him. He was actually able to restrain the flames of the Eightfold Inferno. The white-haired elder realized that Yi Chenfeng was actually ignoring the black flames in the 8th-layer caverns of flames. His interest in Yi Chenfeng grew stronger and stronger, and he reported this to the higher-ups of the Sky Hull. At the same time, in a mustard seed space hidden in the depths of the Fire God City, 5 old men with snow-white hair and long white robes sat around an ancient pine tree that was several hundred meters tall. The tree bark was in the shape of dragon scales, and the lush tree crown was as black as ink. It exuded an ancient vigor. These 5 white-haired elders were the higher-ups of the Sky Hull. They were also the people in charge of the Sky Hull. Among them, the white-haired elder with a ruddy complexion, who was sitting with his back facing the east, and his eyes were as deep as the ocean. He was the Sky Hall's Hallmaster, Nirvana Heavenly Realm Xian Hongzheng. His position was comparable to the divine emperors of the 3 divine nations. Just as the 5 of them were discussing the upcoming Sky Hall's competition, a powerful energy passed through the mustard seed space and entered Xian Hongzheng's ears. Feeling the sudden appearance of this powerful energy, the 4 of them stopped talking and immediately looked at Xian Hongzheng. Just now, Elder Hu sent me a message saying that someone had entered the 8-layered caverns of flames. Xian Hongzheng revealed a faint smile and said slowly, "Oh, Master, is this person who entered the 8-layered caverns of flames very special?" He even caught Elder Hu's attention. Xian Qinyan, the Vice Hall Master of the Sky Hall, who had a thin figure and a long white beard, looked extremely unremarkable. However, he gave off a dangerous vibe. Yes, according to Elder Hua, this person who entered the 8-layered caverns of flames is only a level 4 combat beast emperor, and his bone age is not more than 50 years. Xian Hongjing nodded and said, "What? How is this possible?" Hearing Xian Hongjing's words, the 4 of them revealed a look of deep shock on their calm faces. Although there would be people who would enter the 8-layered caverns of flames every time the 9-layered caverns of flames opened, the 4 of them knew very well that the might of the flames in the 8-layered caverns of flames was no different from courting death if one did not have the strength of a nirvana realm. Now that a level 4 combat beast emperor had entered, how could they not be shocked? Elder Hui guessed that the little guy had taken a huge risk to enter the 8-layered caverns of flames to subdue the sacred flame. Xian Hongzheng continued, "When did such a monstrous genius appear in the central mainland? A level 4 combat beast emperor wanting to subdue the sacred flame? Wasn't this too crazy?" The great guardian of the Sky Hall, Xian Zhengxin, who had a square face and bright eyes and a tall and sturdy figure, lost his self-control and said, "In the countless years since the 9-layered caverns of flames had opened, there had never been such a monstrous genius. You guys guess, can that little guy subdue the sky-incinerating sacred flame in the 8-layered caverns of flames?" Xian Hongzheng asked with a faint smile. "I don't think it's possible." Xian Qingyun shook his head and said, "We are very clear about the might of the sky-incinerating sacred flame. After fusing with the power of the 8-layered caverns of flames, even Nirvana's Almighty couldn't subdue it, let alone a young level 4 combat beast emperor. That's right, the 9-layered caverns of flames have opened countless times. Originally, every time it opened, there would be people who would enter the 8-layered caverns of flames, and even the 9-layered caverns of flames to capture the sacred flame. But so far, no one has succeeded. So I also don't want to believe that little guy will succeed." The great elder of the Sky Hall, whose face was flushed red, nodded and said, "Unless Elder Hu helps. Elder Hu won't break the rules to help. However, Elder Hu is very optimistic about that little guy. He said that he will definitely shine in the Sky Hall's competition and asked us to take care of him," Xian Hongjing said. Just as the 5 Sky Hall higher-ups were deeply interested in Yi Qinfeng because of Elder Hu's message, Yi Qinfeng was increasing his speed to the limit, looking for the sacred flame that could be nurtured in the 8-layered caverns of flames. When he patiently searched in the 8-layered caverns of flames for more than 6 hours and crossed a large area, the God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, felt an extremely terrifying power not far ahead. This power was comparable to the Purple Beginnings sacred lightning. Sacred flame. I finally found the sacred flame in the 8-layered caverns of flames. Yi Qinfeng's first goal after entering the 9-layered caverns of flames was not the sacred flame, but the sacred flame. If he could subdue a kind of sacred flame, he could refine the sacred flame and the Purple Beginnings sacred lightning into the refined Tao tool through equilibrium. This would increase the power of the Tao tool and become his biggest trump card. After discovering the sacred flame, Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate. He used the sword steps to tear apart the vast black sea of flames and found a huge flame cave in the depths of the 8-layered caverns of flames. The sacred flame that the God-Eater brain sensed was in the flame cave. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1131. I wonder if the Chaos Divine can help me subdue this first sacred fire. Although Yi Qinfeng's strength was extraordinary and his foundation was even deeper than the divine nation's prince's, he did not have the confidence to subdue the terrifying power of the first sacred fire that even the supreme expert of nirvana could not subdue. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test. The only thing he could rely on was the nemesis of flames, the chaos divine would, God and devil blood vein ignite. Facing the terrifying first sacred fire, Yi Qinfeng did not dare to be careless. He quickly ignited his God and devil blood vein and increased his strength, raising the defense of his body to the level of a top-grade Tao artifact. With the ice dragon sword in hand, he rushed into the flame cave formed by countless black flames, which was enough to melt a high-grade Tao artifact. After rushing into the flame cave, Yi Qinfeng immediately felt the death blaze, heavenly fire, and the dual extreme ancient heavenly water becoming restless. It was obvious that they could not withstand the heat in the flame cave, and the energy they contained was quickly being consumed. Chaos divine would devour. Just as a large amount of flames passed through the death blaze heavenly fire and the dual extreme ancient heavenly water, burning Yi Qinfeng's body, Yi Qinfeng controlled the chaos divine wood to increase its devouring power, crazily devouring the black flames, reducing the damage to his body. Sensing that someone had invaded its territory, the first sacred fire in the depths of the flame cave woke up. It stared at Yi Qinfeng with a pair of fierce eyes that were filled with flames, releasing a suffocating flame energy that turned into a torrent of flames, bombarding towards him, wanting to kill him. 5 elements Tao diagram, life and death Tao diagram, exterminate. As the torrent of flames surged over, Yi Qinfeng quickly condensed 2 Tao diagrams. Borrowing the power of the 2 Tao diagrams, he resisted the torrent of flames that surged over and fiercely repulsed it in the flame cave. The temperature in the flame cave was too high, and under the influence of the endless black flames, Yi Qinfeng's fighting strength continued to decline. The 2 Tao diagrams that he had formed after a series of intense attacks finally tore apart the crazily surging torrent of flames. As Yi Qinfeng continued to go deeper, another torrent of flames that was like a long river came attacking. Each wave of flames was stronger than the previous wave, and in the end, the 2 Tao diagrams that Yi Qinfeng had condensed shattered. The yin-yang chessboard reversed the power of yin and yang. At the crucial moment, Yi Qinfeng summoned the Gu Dao treasure's yin-yang chessboard and poured a large amount of Dao insight and soul energy into the chessboard. He controlled the yin-yang chessboard to revolve rapidly in front of him and released a powerful force of yin and yang to resist the attacks of the torrents of flames. He went all out to enter the flame cave. Just as Yi Qinfeng was using the power of the Gu Dao treasure to tear through the torrent of flames like a hot knife through butter, the first sacred flame was completely enraged. It turned into a destructive ball of light, dragging a dark golden tail behind it as it shot over like a meteor. Boom! The first holy fire hit the yin-yang chessboard, and the power it unleashed disintegrated the yin and yang power that permeated the chessboard. The terrifying impact knocked Yi Qinfeng back a few meters. As expected of the first sacred flame, its power was indeed extraordinary. Feeling the power of the first sacred flame, Yi Qinfeng was not shocked. Instead, he was happy. With a thought, the 36 Qingkuan swords flew out of his body and quickly formed a Qingkuan sword formation. They attacked the first sacred flame, wanting to trap it. Trapped within the cosmic sword formation, the first holy fire quickly revolved, forming a terrifying vortex of flames. It madly merged with the raging black flames in the flame cave and attacked the cosmic sword formation. Under the first holy fire's devastating attack, the 36 cosmic swords constantly buzzed. A large number of cracks appeared on the sword formation, and it was destroyed in the end. 9 Serpent diagram. Annihilate. If he wanted to successfully subdue the first holy fire, he had to severely injure it first. Faced with the surging power of flames and the first holy fire that swept over, Yi Qinfeng immediately unleashed the 9-serpent diagram. He poured soul energy and Tao insight into the 9-serpent diagram at all costs, controlling the diagram to condense 9 serpent spirits that attacked the black vortex of flames. Even Nirvana's experts would not dare to take this attack head-on. However, in the flame cave, the first holy fire that could continuously fuse with the flame cave's energy forcefully blocked it. Relying on its powerful strangulation power, it shattered the 9 serpent spirits' attack. The first holy fire continued to fuse with the flame cave's energy and attacked Yi Qinfeng. It was determined to kill Yi Qinfeng, who had snuck into its territory. Purple holy thunder, vermilion bird cauldron, Gufanqing the 9 serpent diagram's attack failed. Yi Qinfeng used his methods one after another, controlling the Gudao treasure to attack the flame vortex. However, in the flame cave, the first holy fire was almost invincible. It constantly fused with the flame cave's energy and crushed Yi Qinfeng's attacks, forcing Yi Qinfeng to continuously retreat out of the flame cave. The bronze sword soul attacked the main body. With his attacks broken, Yi Qinfeng controlled the bronze sword soul to fly out, directly entering the wildly spinning flame vortex and attacking the first holy fire in the center of the vortex. Qi. Under the bronze sword soul's unstoppable attack, the first holy fire in the center of the vortex was penetrated. However, in the next moment, the first holy fire that was crazily fusing with the black flames healed the wound and continued to control the flame vortex to attack Yi Qinfeng. The attack worked. Yi Qinfeng controlled the bronze sword soul to attack with all its strength. However, every time the first holy fire was penetrated by the bronze sword soul, it could fuse with the flame cave's energy to repair the damage. In the end, under the attack of the black flame vortex formed by the first holy fire, Yi Qinfeng was forced out of the flame cave. The bronze sword soul was also damaged in the scorching heat. Yi Qinfeng left the flame cave. The cautious first holy fire did not come out of the cave to chase after him. It glared at him fiercely and returned to the flame cave. It was impossible to injure the first holy fire in the flame cave. If he wanted to subdue it, he had to lure it out and trap it. Only then would he have a chance to see how terrifying the first holy fire was in the flame cave. Yi Qinfeng frowned and kept thinking of ways to subdue the first holy fire. 108 array flags, forming an array. After thinking for a while, Yi Qinfeng summoned 108 array flags and quickly condensed them into a powerful trap array hidden in the void. Then, Yi Qinfeng took out 3 fire spirits and Jiao Yian's cyan phoenix flame and placed them at the entrance of the flame cave, trying to lure the first holy fire out of the flame cave. If the first holy fire wanted to evolve further, it needed to devour a large number of fire spirits, spiritual fire, and heavenly fire. Yi Qinfeng had just released a powerful soul to cover the surroundings of the flame cave and found that there were no fire spirits or spiritual fire. He guessed that those flames should have been devoured by the first holy fire, so he thought of this method. Sensing the fire spirits and cyan phoenix flame at the entrance of the flame cave, the highly intelligent first holy fire was immediately attracted. However, it just felt a trace of danger from Yi Qinfeng's body. After hesitating for a while, it did not take the risk. Come out. Seeing that the cyan phoenix flame and the 3 fire spirits were unable to lure the first holy fire out, Yi Qinfeng summoned the 3 spiritual fires that he obtained from killing the 3 burly men and placed them at the entrance of the flame cave to lure the first holy fire. Sensing the 4 spiritual fires at the entrance of the flame cave, the first holy fire immediately became restless. Although it knew that this was definitely a trap, the temptation of the 4 spiritual fires and 3 fire spirits was too great, so it decided to take the risk. Finally couldn't help it. Yi Qinfeng, who was sitting cross-legged near the 4 spiritual fires, had been controlling the God-Eater brain to deduce. When he felt that the first holy fire could not resist the temptation and slowly appeared at the entrance of the flame cave, he revealed a faint smile. His soul fused into the trap array, controlling the trap array to completely integrate with the space of the flame cave. He was ready to trap the first holy fire the moment it left the flame cave. Time passed by slowly. When the cautious first holy fire approached the flame cave, it did not immediately come out to devour the food. Instead, it carefully sensed the danger outside. In the end, under the temptation of the four spiritual fires, the first holy fire, who did not sense the danger, flew out of the flame cave. In an instant, it devoured the four spiritual fires and the three fire spirits that were slightly further away. Just as it was about to devour the three fire spirits and turn back to the flame cave, the rapidly operating trap array enveloped it, cutting off its path of retreat and trapping it in the big array. Today, I will post Jiao Yiyan's picture. If you want to see it, please add me on WeChat. YLTY83 mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. The next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1132. Blood Demon Diagram Fuse. The moment he trapped First Saint Flame, Yi Qinfeng immediately ignited his three bloodlines and fused them with the blood demon diagram, increasing his strength to the greatest extent. In the next moment, the Vermilion Bird Cauldron, Gu Fanqing, Qi Dragon Seal, and Yin Yang chessboard appeared on his body. Under his control, they all attacked First Saint Flame. Lowly human, I'll burn you to death. Trapped in the formation, First Saint Flame was immediately enraged. It transformed into a 10-meter-tall giant burning with dark, golden flames. It waved its flaming fists, shaking the four Gu Dao treasure as it fought fiercely in the formation. Green Heaven Spell, Desolate Furnace of Heaven. When the four great ancient Taoist treasures were forced back by the first holy flame, Yi Qinfeng quickly activated the Green Heaven secret art. The rolling will of the way turned into a desolate furnace with intertwining inscriptions. It carried the might of the way of the heavens as it attacked the first holy flame. When First Saint Flame's fists, which were burning with flames, shook the desolate furnace of heaven, Yi Qinfeng quickly detonated the desolate furnace of heaven. The terrifying explosive force was like a falling star, crazily destroying First Saint Flame and damaging its fire body. Fine cracks spread across its body. Cosmos Sword Formation Attack. Isolated by the formation, First Saint Flame could not fuse with the power of fire to repair the damage to its flame body. Seizing this opportunity, Yi Qinfeng summoned 36 Cosmos swords. They formed a sword diagram and fused with the bronze sword spirit, increasing the sword diagram's power to the greatest extent. It swept towards First Saint Flame like a rain of swords. Under the enhancement of the bronze sword spirit, the Cosmos sword formation's power became extremely terrifying. Each Cosmos sword was like a roaring dragon, tearing apart First Saint Flame's attack and damaging its flame body. Lowly human die. First Saint Flame's flame body became more and more injured. First Saint Flame was enraged. Its huge body shone with light even more dazzling than the sun. It turned into hundreds of dancing fire snakes, viciously attacking the defensive formation that trapped it. It wanted to tear through the formation and return to the flame cave. Chaos Divine would devour. The instant the first sacred flame split apart, Yi Qinfeng seized the opportunity to summon his greatest trump card, the Chaos Divine Wood. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to devour the dancing fire snakes. Although the chaotic divine wood was unable to directly restrain and devour the first sacred flame, its split body attack gave Yi Qinfeng the best opportunity. Under the suppression of the Chaos Divine Wood, the first Saint Flame's fire serpents were continuously devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood. This made the first Saint Flame reveal a trace of fear. No, what is this? The first sacred flame had been nurtured for countless years, but it had never encountered a divine object that could restrain and devour it. Feeling its split body being continuously devoured by the primal Chaos Divine Wood, it fell into a state of panic. It madly attacked the formation, wanting to quickly leave this place. Elder Hua, who had been observing in the dark, was also shocked when the chaos divine would swallowed the fire serpent. This was also the first time he had seen the chaos divine wood. Even he himself felt a tinge of fear when he felt the power contained within the chaos divine wood. How could this little guy have so many secrets on him? Which great power had nurtured such a monstrous genius like him? Elder Hua's deep gaze pierced through the endless sea of fire and stared at the chaos divine wood. The more he looked at the chaos divine wood, the more shocked he became. He was extremely curious about Yi Qinfeng's identity. As the chaos divine would continue to devour, Elder Hua felt that Yi Qinfeng could really create a miracle and subdue the first Saint Flame. Ancient underworld Song the 108 formation flags were attacked by the first Saint Flame crazily, causing cracks to appear. At this moment, Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce, forming a large number of sound patterns. It evolved into an extremely powerful ancient underworld song and attacked the first Saint Flame together with the Cosmos Sword formation, forcefully weakening its attacking power and delaying the time it took to tear apart the defensive formation. Boom, boom, boom. As its fire body was continuously devoured by the chaos divine wood, the first Saint Flame had no choice but to self-detonate its fire body to forcefully tear apart the defensive formation. Finally, the first Saint Flame paid a huge price and tore apart the defensive formation, appearing in the black sea of fire. At this moment, almost half of its fire body had been devoured by the chaos divine wood. Adding on the fact that it had just self-detonated, the first Saint Flame had become unprecedentedly weak. Gu Jianga, Heart of the Sword Bright Moon. Just as first Saint Flame was about to escape into the flame cave, Yi Qinfeng leaped into the air. Holding the ice dragon sword in his hand, he slashed out a sword aura that was like a mountain. It was branded with the imprint of the great path of reproduction. It was like a bright moon shining high up in the sky, releasing an endless pressure of the will of the great path. It mixed with the terrifying sound of the great path and split first Saint Flame's broken body in half. Chaos divine wood, suppress. Yi Qinfeng controlled the chaos divine wood, which was getting bigger and bigger, to suppress the remaining half of the first Saint Flame's body. It forcefully suppressed it and extended thousands of roots, crazily devouring it. Soon, half of the first Saint Flame's body was devoured by the chaos divine wood. The remaining 1/3 of the first Saint Flame escaped into the flame cave in a sorry state. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Yi Qinfeng kept the chaos divine wood back into his body and flew into the flame cave with extreme speed. He chased after the remaining 1/3 of the first Saint Flame. He was determined to devour it all and use the chaos divine wood to help him subdue it. After escaping into the flame cave, the first Saint Flame immediately absorbed the fire energy in the flame cave to repair its body. At this time, Yi Qinfeng chased over and controlled the universe sword formation to continue attacking. Flame vortex. After witnessing the power of the universe sword formation, the first Saint Flame immediately revolved and stirred the endless fire energy in the flame cave. It turned into a terrifying vortex, resisting the attacks of the universe sword formation. 9 dragon diagram break. The first Saint Flame was severely damaged, and the power of the flame vortex it formed was greatly reduced. Yi Qinfeng summoned the 9 dragon diagram and continuously spat out a few mouthfuls of blood essence into it. He activated the power of the 9 dragon diagram and condensed the spirits of the 9 dragons to attack the flame vortex. In a series of concentrated explosions, the flame vortex was torn apart with cracks. The remaining body of the first Saint Flame suffered great damage again. However, it did not accept its fate. It crazily merged with the power of the flame cave and made a final struggle. I want to see who can last until the end. Although Yi Qinfeng was under a lot of pressure in the flame cave, and the consumption of energy was obvious, in order to subdue the first Saint Flame. Yi Qinfeng relied on his strong will and persevered bitterly. He controlled the universe sword formation to attack, controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the ancient underworld song, and multitasked. Controlled the Gudao treasure to attack. Powerful! This little guy is too powerful. I have never heard of such methods before. When Elder Hu realized that Yi Qinfeng's soul was able to deduce the sound of the great Dao at the same time and control several Gudao treasures attacks, his calm face revealed a trace of shock. He felt that Yi Qinfeng was a bottomless pit. Even he could not see through Yi Qinfeng. Yi Qinfeng and the first Saint Flame fought fiercely in the flame cave for more than 2 hours. Finally, with the help of countless methods and the powerful Gudao treasure, he shattered the flame vortex formed by the first Saint Flame. In the next moment, under his control, the Chaos Divine would suppress the severely damaged first Saint Flame. Tens of thousands of 5-colored roots extended and broke into the first Saint Flame's body, crazily devouring its flame body. In the end, the violently struggling first Saint Flame was devoured by the Chaos Divine wood and disappeared in the burning flame cave. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1133. After successfully devouring the first sacred flame with the help of the Chaos Divine Wood, Yi Qinfeng did not stay for long. He quickly crushed the heavenly fire writ and left the dangerous 8-layer flame cave, arriving outside the fiery red palace. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test outside the fiery red palace. Yi Qinfeng did not encounter the flame's spirit Saint Sun and the others seeking revenge, so he let out a sigh of relief. Although Yi Qinfeng was not afraid of the sacred Fire Valley at this critical juncture, Yi Qinfeng did not want to start a conflict with the sacred Fire Valley so early, so as to avoid affecting his participation in the Sky Hall's competition. And that kid's life is really good. He actually managed to leave the 9-layer flame cave alive. Yong Tianho, who had generously booked a private room in a restaurant outside the 9-layer flame cave and was waiting for Xiao Tianyin's triumphant return, revealed a trace of surprise when he saw Yi Qinfeng leave the 9-layer flame cave in a very low-key manner. However, in his opinion, with Yi Qinfeng's strength as a 4th-grade combat beast emperor, it was impossible for him to gain anything in the 9-layer flame cave. He did not care and continued to wait patiently in the restaurant. After leaving the 9-layer flame cave in a low-key manner, Yi Qinfeng did not wander around the bustling fire god city and immediately returned to the inn. Great, Feng Qin, you're finally back. I wonder how your harvest in the 9-layer flame cave was, and how many fire spirits did you subdue? When Yi Qinfeng returned to the inn, Wang Tian Marquis and Mu Qinghua, who were guarding Jiao Yan, sensed his arrival and called Yi Qinfeng to the side room. The harvest was not bad. Yi Qinfeng smiled and took out 12 fist-sized fire spirits, handing them to Mu Qinghua. Feng Qinu. Looking at the 12 fire spirits handed over by Yi Qinfeng, Mu Qinghua's pupils shrank as he looked at him. I used up a lot of Wangtian Pavilion's points to enter the 9-layer flame cave. These 12 fire spirits will be a gift to Wangtian Pavilion as repayment. Yi Qinfeng smiled and said softly, Feng Qin, you are too polite. You are my Wangtian Pavilion's honorary guest. We should support you fully. Not to mention, he helped Yan subdue a heavenly fire spirit alchemists dream of. This kindness is big enough. Wang Tian Marquis said with a graceful smile, It's because I don't consider myself an outsider that I gave you these 12 fire spirits. Although Yi Qinfeng didn't capture many fire spirits in the 9-layered fire caverns, he had killed the black-clothed woman and the others and obtained more than 20 fire spirits from their belongings. He had given 12 fire spirits to Sky Gazing Pavilion, so Yi Qinfeng still had 20 fire spirits in his possession. Although the fire spirit was powerful, it could not increase the quality of the first Saint Flame and the Death Flame, Heavenly Flame. Therefore, the fire spirit was not very useful to him. Okay, then I will shamelessly accept it. At Wang Tian Marquis' signal, Mu Qinghua accepted the 12 fire spirits that were extremely precious to him. Yi Qinfeng asked softly, "Oh right, Marquis, how is Yiyan doing? How much has she fused with the heavenly flames?" "With the help of me and the Grand Secretary, Yiyan's fusion with the solitary heavenly flame has reached 80%. At most, she will need one more day to completely fuse with the solitary heavenly flame. At that time, she will be able to control the solitary heavenly flame to refine pills." Wang Tian Marquis looked at Yi Qinfeng with gratitude and slowly said. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, "Marquis, Grand Secretary, I have some gains in the 9-layered fire caverns and plan to cultivate in seclusion for a few days. Please don't let anyone disturb me." Wang Tian Marquis didn't ask and nodded. "Don't worry, Feng Qin. With us here, no one will disturb your cultivation." However, she didn't know that Yi Qinfeng's gains were the first Saint Flame that no one had ever tamed in the 9-layered fire caverns. After returning to his room, Yi Qinfeng immediately laid down a restriction formation. After taking a bath and relaxing, he wore a thin robe and sat cross-legged on the soft bed. He controlled the primal chaos divine would to forcefully erase the first Saint Flame's consciousness. Only by erasing its consciousness would Yi Qinfeng be able to recognize the first sacred flame as its master and refine it into his body. Due to the existence of the primal chaos divine wood, Yi Qinfeng could allow the two great flames to live in his body at the same time. When Yi Qinfeng controlled the primal chaos divine would to erase the first Saint Flame's consciousness, the first Saint Flame immediately resisted fiercely. However, the primal chaos divine would completely restrain it. No matter how much the first Saint Flame struggled, it couldn't resist the erosion and attacks of the 5-colored roots. Slowly, the first Saint Flame's consciousness became more and more blurred. In the end, it was completely erased by the 5-colored roots. Phew, I finally succeeded. After erasing the first Saint Flame's consciousness, Yi Qinfeng revealed a faint smile. However, the movement of integrating the first Saint Flame was too big. He deliberately hid this trump card and didn't want to expose it too early. With a thought, he entered the Qinkuan realm. "Young Master Yi, how's the situation outside? That incident didn't affect you, right?" When Yi Qinfeng entered the Qinkuan realm, the Marquis of Qianming, who was cultivating in the Qinkuan realm, immediately came to his side and asked respectfully. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and looked at the Marquis of Qianming, who had completely surrendered to him, and said, "You did well in that matter. These 2 petals are your reward." This was when Yi Qinfeng transplanted the golden petal fire lotus into the Qinkuan realm. He didn't alarm anyone. However, when he felt the spirituality contained in the petals of the golden petal fire lotus, the Marquis of Qianming felt that it was extraordinary. These are 2 petals of the golden petal fire lotus. With the spiritual power contained in these 2 petals, your success rate of crossing the world, extinguishing heavenly punishment, and breaking through nirvana should increase by several times, Yi Qinfeng said lightly. The petals of the golden petal fire lotus. The Marquis of Qianming knew the preciousness of the golden petal fire lotus. There were only a few of them in the entire central mainland. His eyes widened, revealing a look of deep surprise. With these 2 petals, he was 80% sure that he could cross the world, extinguishing heavenly punishment and break through to nirvana. Marquis of Qianming, cultivate well and be loyal to me. Sooner or later, you will become a nirvana heavenly realm master and stand at the top of the world. Yi Qinfeng looked at the excited Marquis of Qianming and revealed a trace of arrogance. "Young Master Yi, my life has long been yours. If you ask me to go east, I won't dare to go west." The Marquis of Qianming patted his chest and promised, "Well, you go cultivate. I'm going to cultivate too." After speaking, Yi Qinfeng found a quiet place and used the power of the chaos divine to slowly integrate the first sacred fire. Although the process of integrating the first sacred fire was very painful, Yi Qinfeng's physical body was strong enough and his willpower was strong enough to completely endure the pain caused by the backlash of the first sacred fire. Just as Yi Qinfeng was doing his best to integrate the first sacred fire, a huge commotion occurred outside the Ninefold Flame Caverns. Yong Tianhou, who had waited for 3 days, discovered that Xiao Tianyan still hadn't come out of the Ninefold Flame Caverns and fell into a panic. How is this possible? With Yan Er's strength and trump cards, how could something have happened to him in the Ninefold Flame Caverns? The Ninefold Flame Caverns had existed for a long time, and no one had ever stayed inside for more than 3 days. Yong Tianhou knew that something had happened to Xiao Tianyan and was unable to accept this fact. Who did it? Who killed my son? Xiao Tianyan was Yong Tianhou's favorite son and also his hope. Now that he had died in the Ninefold Flame Caverns, Yong Tianhou went mad with anger. Flames of fury erupted from his body as he roared at the sky. Not only was Yong Tianhou furious, but several experts of the Kirin Kingdom were also furious. The black-clothed woman was an 8th-level heavenly master with exceptional refining skills. Now that she was suspected to have died in the Ninefold Flame Caverns, it had caused an immeasurable loss to the Kirin Kingdom. However, the Ninefold Flame Caverns was too special. Every time it opened, someone would die. Finding the culprit was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Due to the death of Xiao Tianyan and the others, the Ninefold Flame Caverns had fallen into chaos. The higher-ups of the Heavenly Palace also found out from Elderhua that Yi Qinfeng had subdued the first sacred fire in the Eightfold Flame Caverns and were also shocked. Soon, Yi Qinfeng's registration information appeared in the hands of the Heavenly Palace's Palace Master, Xian Hongzheng. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1134. Feng Qin, from 9 Heavens God Nations, Wangtian Capital, is an honorary guest of Wangtian Pavilion. He has cultivated for less than 50 years and is a 4-star alchemist. Looking at the information about Yi Qinfeng, Xian Hongzheng, and the others looked at each other in disbelief. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test Chinese. Net 1, is this information correct? Feng Qin is really a 4-star alchemist, and he has cultivated for such a short time. Xian Qinyin, the vice palace master, frowned and said doubtfully, although a 4-star alchemist was a high status in the eyes of ordinary people, in the eyes of Xian Hongzheng and the others, a 4-star alchemist was too ordinary. Normally, an alchemist of this level would not attract their attention. But now, an ordinary 4-star alchemist had created a miracle. Not only did he go deep into the 8-layered inferno, which was enough to melt an upper-grade Tao artifact, but he also subdued the first Saint Flame, which even Nirvana's Almighty could not subdue. Elder, whose information should not be wrong, Xian Hongyun showed a thought-provoking smile and said, "This little guy is a bit mysterious. His origin should not be simple." Yes, subduing the first Saint Flame in the 9-layered inferno was a historical achievement. It seems that he deliberately hid his strength as a 4-star alchemist. Second Elder Xian Yunzhou nodded and said, "Palace Master, should we find Wangtian Marquis of 9 Heavens God Nation and ask about the little guy's origin?" Xian Qingyun asked, "No, if that little guy wants to hide his strength, then we should not disturb him too early. Let's wait for the Heavenly Palace competition." Xian Hongyun shook his head and said thought-provoking, "By the way, Palace Master, did Elder Hu say which race that little guy is cultivating?" Xian Qingyun asked. Elder Hui said that the little guy has several great inheritances. Not only did he cultivate the human race's inheritance, but he also cultivated the divine race's inheritance, the demon race's inheritance, and the monster race's inheritance. Xian Hongyun said, What? For great inheritances in one body? Which old monster taught such an amazing talent? Xian Qingyin and the others were shocked and said in surprise, All right, let's put that little guy's matter aside for now. 3 days later, we'll open the Heavenly Street Square. 5 days later, the Heavenly Hall's competition will officially begin. Hall Master Xian Hongyun said in a low voice, I hope that in this competition, our human race's Sage Master will be able to win the championship and suppress the 3 races' limelight. Day after day passed. Yi Chenfeng fused with the holy fire for 3 days without sleeping or resting. Finally, with the help of the Chaos Divine Wood, he fused with the holy fire. Phew, I finally succeeded. Yi Chenfeng let out a long sigh of relief and opened his tightly shut eyes. A faint smile appeared on his face. The sky-incinerating holy flame was an elementary holy flame. It was originally formed from the sun essence flames and could burn everything in the world. Yi Chenfeng summoned the dark golden sky incinerating holy flame. When he felt the destructive power in the flame, he revealed a satisfied smile. Just as Yi Chenfeng was about to try to control the sky incinerating holy flame to refine weapons, the wisp of remnant soul he left in the side room heard a light knocking sound. He moved his mind and retrieved the sky incinerating holy flame into his body and went into the side room. When Yi Chenfeng dispelled the restriction in the room and opened the door, he saw Jiao Yiyan, who was wearing a long green silk dress and had snow-white skin, standing outside the room. He smiled and said softly, Yiyan, you've completely fused with the cold, solitary, heavenly flame. I completely fused with the cold, solitary, heavenly flame the day before yesterday. But seeing that you've been cultivating, I didn't dare to disturb you. Jiao Yiyan revealed a charming smile and looked at Yi Chenfeng with gentle eyes. She said softly, Feng Chen, how's your harvest in the 9-fold fire cave? You've gained a lot. Come, let's talk inside. Yi Chenfeng smiled and welcomed the beautiful Jiao Yiyan into the room. He took out 10 imprisoned fire spirits and handed them to her, saying, These are for you. After refining these 10 fire spirits, your cold, solitary, heavenly flame's power should increase even more. No. I heard from Mother that you've already given me 12 fire spirits. I can't take any more. Jiao Yiyan shook her head and refused. Yiyan, if you continue to treat me like an outsider, I'm going to get angry. Yi Chenfeng pretended to be angry and said, Quickly, take them. Okay. Seeing Yi Chenfeng somewhat overbearingly shove the 10 precious fire spirits into her hands, Jiao Yiyan didn't refuse anymore. She happily put the 10 fire spirits into the Qinquan ring she carried with her. Feng Chen, what kind of fire spirit did you get in the 9-fold fire cave? Jiao Yiyan felt that Yi Chenfeng's harvest was definitely not limited to these fire spirits. She asked curiously, Wait until the Heavenly Palace competition. Yi Chenfeng smiled and pretended to be mysterious. All right, then I'll wait for your wonderful performance at the Heavenly Palace competition. Seeing that Yi Chenfeng didn't want to say more, the smart Jiao Yiyan didn't ask any more. She was in a good mood and said softly, All right, Feng Chen, do you have time today? Do you want to go out for a walk? Yi Chenfeng asked with a smile as he looked at the beautiful Jiao Yiyan, who was dressed up meticulously. Well, today is the opening day of the Heavenly Neighborhood. Every time the Heavenly Neighborhood opens, it attracts all kinds of big shots to come and trade. The Heavenly Palace also sends people to set up stalls in the Heavenly Neighborhood. Every time the Heavenly Palace competition attracts all kinds of heroes to come to the Fire God City. Other than watching the Heavenly Palace competition, they also come to the Heavenly Neighborhood to buy treasures, Jiao Yiyan explained softly. And every time the Heavenly Neighborhood opens, there will be people who find unexpected treasures. There are even people who buy treasures at very low prices. He didn't expect that the Fire God City would have such a good place. Hearing Jiao Yian's explanation, Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up, and he became very interested in the heavenly neighborhood. Because of the heavenly palace's supervision, there are very few fake and substandard goods in the heavenly neighborhood. However, the treasures in the heavenly neighborhood are mostly traded by bartering. Even if they want to buy, they can only trade with top-grade soul crystals. Come, let's go to the heavenly neighborhood and look for treasures. After listening to Jiao Yuyan's explanation, Yi Qinfeng became even more interested. He changed his clothes and went with Jiao Yuyan to the heavenly neighborhood in the west city of the Fire God City. When the two arrived at the heavenly neighborhood, which was shrouded by a powerful restriction, they found that the place was already crowded with people coming and going. It was very lively. In the heavenly neighborhood, one could see level 6 beast emperors, Nirvana, and even Nirvana's almighty. It was enough to show how attractive the heavenly neighborhood was. Many people crowded around the simple and spacious stalls, looking for treasures that they liked and bargaining with the stall owners. At the same time, there were also some old foxes with sharp eyes wandering around the stalls, using their eyes that had experienced the vicissitudes of life to look for treasures in the heavenly neighborhood. Heavenly King Tu, Princess Mingyuwen, Yi Qinfeng, and Jiao Yian arrived at the heavenly neighborhood. They saw Heavenly King Tu, who was wearing a dark golden dragon robe, exuding the aura of a king, and Di Mingyue, who was wearing a light golden dress and had an elegant temperament, like a proud peacock, accompanied by several experts, looking for treasures in the heavenly neighborhood. Other than Heavenly King Tu and Di Mingyue, Yi Qinfeng also saw many peerless geniuses of the central continent in the heavenly neighborhood. Although they deliberately concealed their auras and hid their strength, no matter how low-key they were, they couldn't hide their natural auras. Their domineering auras attracted a lot of attention. Just as Yi Qinfeng and Jiao Yian were looking for treasures in the stalls, Yi Qinfeng's sharp senses suddenly felt a sharp killing intent appear. This killing intent was so strong that it made many people in fear. They retreated and didn't dare to get close to it. Gently turning his head, Yi Qinfeng saw a woman in a tight black martial arts suit. She had a graceful figure, slender legs, and short hair that reached her ears. Although she wasn't a peerless beauty, she gave off a valiant and heroic aura. She was like an unsheathed sharp sword that walked alone. When this woman appeared, even Heavenly King, too, took a few more glances at her. There was a different look in his eyes. What a powerful woman! The central continent was really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Looking at the black-clothed woman who walked past him proudly, Yi Qinfeng showed a hint of surprise. He had a feeling that this woman's combat strength was probably above the fire spirit saint. If they fought face to face, he might not be able to win against her. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1135. Come, Yen, let's go over there and take a look. More and more people gathered in Celestial Street. Yi Qinfeng glanced around and found that there were fewer people in the northwest direction, so he immediately walked over with Jiao Yiyan. Because Jiao Yiyan was too beautiful and peerless, when she appeared in the northwest direction of Celestial Street, many people were stunned. As for Yi Qinfeng, who was standing beside her, he attracted a lot of hateful gazes. If looks could kill, Yi Qinfeng would have been riddled with holes by now. Feeling the crazed gazes of jealousy around him, Yi Qinfeng ignored them and leisurely walked side by side with Jiao Yiyan. As they walked, Yi Qinfeng suddenly stopped and pulled Jiao Yiyan to a stall surrounded by people. His gaze fell on a fist-sized piece of jade essence in the corner of the stall. Although this piece of jade essence looked ordinary to the naked eye, When the sharp god-eater brain swept over it, it clearly fluctuated. Clearly, this piece of jade essence was not simple. Staring at the dark green jade essence, the god-eater brain released its power through Yi Qinfeng's soul sea and poured it into the jade essence. After tens of thousands of cycles per second, it slowly seeped into the jade essence. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinfeng retracted his soul force and revealed a faint smile. He cast his gaze towards the old woman who wore a gray linen robe, had a head full of silver hair, and had a dragon head walking stick by her side. He softly asked, "How do I buy this chalcedony?" "This jade essence can only be bartered and not sold." The white-haired old woman slightly raised her wrinkled eyelids and looked at Yi Qinfeng. Her voice was somewhat hoarse as she spoke. "What does Senior want to trade?" Although the white-haired old woman in front of him looked old and decrepit, Yi Qinfeng knew that she was a hidden expert. Her strength was suspected to have reached the level of nirvana. Any treasure is fine, but the prerequisite is that it can enter my eyes, the white-haired old woman said with a hoarse voice. Yi Qinfeng pondered for a moment, then took out a petal of the golden fiery lotus and asked softly, "Senior, can I use my golden fiery lotus petal to trade for this jade essence?" The white-haired old woman's turbid eyes emitted streaks of radiant light. Sizing up Yi Qinfeng several times, she spoke with a hoarse voice. "Although the petals of the golden petal fire lotus are precious, just one petal is not enough to exchange for this jade essence. Senior, do you know the value of this chalcedony?" Yi Qinfeng saw strong interest in the white-haired old woman's eyes. He was not in a hurry to increase the bargaining chip, so he asked softly, "I don't know. I obtained this jade marrow in the outer heavens. I studied it for many years, but still couldn't unravel its secrets. However, items from the outer heavens are definitely ordinary items, so I can only say that I am not fated to find it. That's why I brought it here to sell. The thing beyond the sky." Qinfeng frowned slightly. He knew that he had asked the wrong question. Sure enough, as soon as the white-haired old woman's words fell, she immediately attracted many pairs of burning eyes. As the most dangerous place in the central world, the outer heavens was well known by many people. Moreover, there were rumors that the items from the outer heavens were all peerless. Each item's value was unimaginably high. "I have a Gudao treasure. I want to exchange it for Senior's jade marrow. Is that okay?" A middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament, wearing a gorgeous robe and a crown on his head, showed a strong interest in this mysterious jade marrow. He took out a Gudao treasure and asked softly. The white-haired old woman lightly glanced at the mountain-shaped Gudao treasure in the gorgeous, robed man's hand. Her face did not have the slightest change in expression as she spoke with a hoarse voice. "Senior, I have a top-grade Dao core. I want to exchange it for Senior's jade marrow. Is that okay?" Someone else offered to make a deal with the white-haired old woman. However, the white-haired old woman was not interested in the Gudao treasure or the Dao core. She refused several people with a straight face. "Senior, how about I use 2 golden fire lotus petals to exchange for Senior's jade marrow?" Yi Qinfeng slightly sighed. He did not dare to wait any longer and increase the price. 2 petals are not enough. The white-haired old woman shook her head and said, "What if I add a group of living spirits that can bring the dead back to life? With these treasures, Senior should have a 60% chance of surviving the world-ending heavenly punishment and breaking through to the nirvana heavenly realm." Yi Qinfeng pondered for a moment and continued to increase the price. "I didn't expect you to have so many rare items." The white-haired old woman's deep eyes shot out a light more dazzling than the sun. She stared straight at Yi Qinfeng and said with a hoarse voice, 2 golden fire lotus petals, 2 groups of living spirits. I will give you this jade marrow in exchange." "Senior, although you said that this jade marrow came from the sky beyond heaven, there is no evidence to prove its true origin. Moreover, Senior is even more unable to prove its true value. Therefore, 2 golden fire lotus petals and a group of living spirits have already far exceeded its own value. If Senior insists on demanding an exorbitant price, then Senior can only give up. Although Yi Qinfeng had a strong interest in this jade marrow that caused the God-Eater brain to fluctuate, he would not be led by the nose by the white-haired old woman. Fine. 2 golden fire lotus petals and a group of living spirits. I will exchange with you. The white-haired old woman indeed needed the golden fire lotus petals and the group of living spirits. After a slight hesitation, she finally completed the transaction with Yi Qinfeng and gave the mysterious jade marrow to Yi Qinfeng. Feng Qin, what is the origin of this jade marrow? It actually made you pay such a high price for it. Jiao Yiyan looked at Yi Qinfeng with a puzzled face and asked curiously, It's hard to say now. Wait until I go back and study it. I will tell you. Yi Qinfeng put the jade marrow into the universe realm and said mysteriously, Come on, let's go to the other stalls. After saying that, Yi Qinfeng did not stay by the white-haired old woman's stall for long. He pulled Jiao Yian's fair hand and quickly left. As they walked, a loud shout suddenly entered Yi Qinfeng's ears, attracting him and Jiao Yian to walk over. Don't miss out on this opportunity. 1,000-year-old golden signboard, honest to all. 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs, precious stones, heavenly beast essence blood. Everything is on sale. Everyone is here to take a look. A short old man with a long white beard and a small pointed hat was shouting with all his might, attracting people to come and go. As he shouted with all his might, his business was unprecedentedly good. Many cultivators completed transactions with him and obtained the treasures he was selling. After sweeping through the remaining treasures in the old man's stall, the God-Eater brain fluctuated again. Yi Qinfeng's gaze locked onto a fist-sized black crystal. How much is this crystal? Yi Qinfeng gently stretched out his hand and grabbed the black crystal. After examining it carefully, he asked, This crystal can only be exchanged for a supreme-grade Taoist treasure. The old man with the pointed hat squinted his small eyes and looked at Yi Qinfeng with a smile. Yi Qinfeng smiled and said softly, I don't know the origin of this crystal. Its price is higher than a Taoist treasure's. Do you really want me to tell you its value? If I tell you, its value will be more than a supreme-grade Taoist treasure. The old man said with a smile, I'll take this crystal. At this time, a burly man in golden armor with an extraordinary aura showed a strong interest in the black crystal in Yi Qinfeng's hand and took out a supreme-grade Taoist treasure. Wait, I saw this crystal first, didn't I? Yi Qinfeng frowned slightly, looked at the powerful man in golden armor, and said coldly. The man in golden armor looked at Yi Qinfeng with disdain and said coldly, The rule of Heavenly Neighborhood is that the item belongs to whoever offers the price first. Do you want to break the rule? Yes, Heavenly Neighborhood does have this rule. Little friend, next time you want to buy something, do it early. If you are late, you will miss the opportunity. With that, the old man with the pointed hat took back the black crystal from Yi Qinfeng and completed the transaction with the man in golden armor. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends. QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1136. Hee hee. You're angry that someone stole what you like. Do you want me to steal it back for you? Yi Qinfeng watched helplessly as the golden-armored man bought what he wanted. Just as he was inwardly fuming, a cheerful voice suddenly rang out in his ears. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test following the source of the voice. Yi Qinfeng saw a young man wearing a dark blue gown. His facial features were as sharp as a knife, his eyes were bright and deep, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. He revealed a wanton and unrestrained smile as he slowly walked over while waving a jade fan. Navel eyes looking at this handsome and unrestrained man, Yi Qinfeng immediately recognized that she was planner of the heavens. He revealed a faint smile. Feng Qin, I really admire your way of picking up girls. I haven't seen you for a few days, and you've already picked up a peerless beauty. Planner of the heavens put away the jade fan and sized up the fairy-like Jiao Yuyan. He said softly, Beauty is like a painting, peerless and flawless. With one look, you can topple a city. With another look, you can topple a country. Beauty, can we get to know each other? Yi Qinfeng, Feng Chen, is he your friend? Looking at Planner of the Heavens' fiery eyes and hearing his flirtatious words, Jiao Yuyan's delicate face revealed 2 intoxicating blushes. She turned her head and looked at Yi Qinfeng. Yes, he is my friend. Yi Qinfeng rubbed his nose. He was a bit speechless as he looked at Planner of the Heavens, who liked to flirt with other women. Beauty, I advise you to stay away from him. He is a wolf in human skin. Don't be fooled by him. Be careful of your body being fooled by him. Then it will be too late to cry. Planner of the Heavens said in a seemingly casual manner. Feng Qin, your friend is so humorous. Jiao Yuyan blushed and said softly, looking at the beautiful smile on Jiao Yuyan's face. Planner of the Heavens said playfully, Beauty, did you know that your smile just cured a serious illness of mine? Other than my strong body, I really don't know how to repay you. Jiao Yuyan, all right, Sky Plunderer. Yuyan is shy, so stop joking with her. Yi Qinfeng glared at Sky Plunderer and said unhappily, Sky Plunderer, the crystal the man in golden armor just bought is very important to me. Can you help me steal it back? If I help you steal it back, how are you going to thank me? Heaven Plucker's soft voice transmitted over. Isn't it too formal to talk about gratitude between you and me? Yi Qinfeng laughed and responded, How about after the matter is done, I'll satisfy your dirty soul. TSK, I think you should just forget about that silver-headed wax spear of yours. Heaven Plunderer rolled his eyes at Yi Qinfeng and scolded with a smile. All right, wait for me here. I'll steal that thing and his underwear back for you. Steal the heavenly Tao. Wait, I only want that black crystal, not his underwear. Yi Qinfeng hurriedly transmitted his voice, fearing that Sky Planner would really steal that man's underwear to disgust him. After a while, a commotion suddenly came from the heavenly neighborhood. The pants of the man in golden armor who had just exchanged a top-grade Taoist treasure for the black crystal suddenly fell down without warning, causing a huge uproar. Who is it? The man in golden armor was so embarrassed that his face turned red. He lifted his loose pants and roared angrily, as if he had the urge to kill someone. At this moment, Sky Planner came back with the black crystal with a smirk on his face. Here you are. Sky Planner handed the black crystal to Yi Qinfeng generously. How did you do it? Jiao Yuyan widened her eyes and said in disbelief. Sky Planner said carelessly, Are you a thief? Jiao Yuyan asked in surprise. You can say that, but I like to steal girls' hearts more. Sky Planner waved his jade fan and said unrestrainedly, Let's go to other places and see what other treasures we can find. After recovering the black crystal, Yi Qinfeng was in a good mood. He revealed a faint smile and said softly, I'm not interested in finding treasures with you. You can slowly shop with your little lover. I'm going to hook up with other girls. I hope I can get one to warm my bed tonight. With that, Sky Planner waved his jade fan and left with his clothes fluttering in the wind. Let's not talk to her anymore. Looking at Sky Planner's carefree figure, Yi Qinfeng lightly shook his head and was about to leave with Jiao Yuyan. Suddenly, a delicate shout resounded out as a beautiful figure appeared abruptly, and it obstructed Heaven Planner's path. Little thief, I've been looking for you for a long time. You finally appeared. Princess Di Mingyue of Nine Heavens' divine kingdom angrily looked at Sky Planner's face that deceived her and said with gritted teeth, Yo, I was wondering who it was. So it's little girl Mingyue. Looking at Di Mingyue who blocked his path, Sky Planner's face didn't reveal a trace of panic. He said playfully, "Little girl Mingyue, I already told you that we can't be together. Why bother to pester me? You're shameless." Di Mingyue's delicate face blushed. She was so angry that her breasts undulated up and down. "I admit that I'm shameless and stole your heart, but I really don't like you. Just let me go." Sky Planner and Nine Heavens' divine kingdom have a deep grudge. He intentionally humiliated her. Daring Sky King too appeared at this moment and let out a thunderous roar. It echoed in Sky Planner's ears. "Mingyue is not someone you can bully. I think you're looking for death." Sky Planner said fearlessly, "The Heavenly Palace strictly forbids private fights in the heavenly neighborhood. If you want to break the rules, go ahead. I won't fight back anyway. Uncle Wong, I'll let this despicable guy go today. I don't believe that he'll stay in the heavenly neighborhood forever." Thinking about how Sky Planner stole her underwear and molested her, Di Mingyue gritted her teeth in anger. But in the Fire God City, they didn't dare to break the Heavenly Palace's rules. She could only suppress the anger in her heart. "TCH, you think I'm scared?" Sky Planner curled his lips and said carelessly, "I'm standing right here. Bite me. Kid, you better pray that you don't fall into my hands. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death." Sky King too warned coldly. A powerful soul exploded from his soul ocean and left a soul mark on Sky Planner's body. As long as Sky Planner left the heavenly neighborhood, he would be able to sense it immediately. "Feng Qin, your friend is too good at causing trouble." Jiao Yan looked at Sky Planner, who provoked Sky King 2 and Di Mingyue in front of everyone, and started to worry for her. She was someone who wasn't afraid of anything. But ever since her debut, there was probably only one person who caught her. So there was no need to worry about her. Yi Chenfeng smiled and said softly, "Let's go. I think there are still treasures to be found here." Looking at Sky Planner, who angered Sky King 2 and Di Mingyue away, Yi Chenfeng shook his head helplessly. He pulled Jiao Yuyan's arm and left, continuing to search for treasures in the heavenly neighborhood. When he walked from the west end to the east end of the heavenly neighborhood, his attention was attracted by a stall with dozens of cultivators gathered around it. And this stall was betting on treasures, mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1137. Come on, who can open this box? You can choose any item from I's stall. If you can't open it, you just have to compensate I with a Taoist treasure. An old man in a sackcloth Taoist robe shouted loudly. His face was full of wrinkles, and his round eyes were full of shrewdness. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test. So many treasures. Hearing the old man's shout, Yi Chenfeng and Jiao Yuyan walked over. When Yi Chenfeng saw the treasures on display, he couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise. Gu Dao treasure. Top-grade Taoist artifact. Top-grade Tao pill, dragon tortoise shell, amulet talisman. Spiritual herbs over 100,000 years old. It could be said that every single treasure in the old man's stall was extremely precious. Especially that dark golden protective talisman. It was even more extraordinary. Its value probably surpassed an ordinary ancient Tao treasure, and it was capable of blocking the attacks of rebirth realm old fellows. Celestial neighborhood is indeed full of hidden talents. Although the old man in front of them was very inconspicuous and there was no spiritual energy fluctuation on his body, he was definitely not simple judging from the treasures on his stall. His strength was absolutely terrifying. "Senior, are there any requirements to open the wooden box?" someone asked. "No. It doesn't matter whether you break the restriction by hand or by brute force. You can even use a Taoist instrument or a Taoist treasure. As long as you break the restriction and open the box, you can take any one of the items in my stall. However, you only have 30 minutes to break the restriction." The linen-robed old man said with a smile. "Really?" Hearing the old man's words, everyone was eager to try. They didn't want to miss this great opportunity. Let me. Those who could come to Celestial Neighborhood to choose treasures were either rich or noble. They didn't lack Taoist treasures at all. Everyone eagerly signed up and competed to be the first to challenge. Don't push, one by one. Seeing that everyone's interest was completely aroused, the old man in the sackcloth smiled even more. He pointed at a man in a luxurious robe, with a square face and a thick black beard around his mouth. He was a level 6 combat beast emperor and said, "You're big, let's start with you." "Okay." The man in the luxurious robe revealed a trace of joy and quickly stood at the forefront. "Put down your wager. Remember, you only have the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to open the wooden box in my hand. You can choose any treasure from my stall and take it away. If you can't open the wooden box within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, then the Taoist treasure you bet on is mine," the linen-robed old man said with narrowed eyes. "All right, no problem." The man in the luxurious robe believed that he had extraordinary strength and was fully capable of breaking the restriction by force. He took out a Taoist treasure and placed it on the stall. Then he took the wooden box from the old man in the linen robe. It seemed to have been eaten by worms and looked very fragile. "Open!" The man in luxurious clothes shouted out explosively as a strand of formidable Tao insight energy exploded out from his body and converged in his hands. He wanted to forcefully tear apart the restrictions on the surface of the wooden box and forcefully open it. However, even though the wooden box appeared to be fragile, the luxurious robed man was unable to shake the restriction on the surface of the wooden box, even after using all of his strength. Bloodline ignition. After failing to break the restriction, the man in luxurious clothes didn't give up with a flushed face. He didn't hesitate to ignite the bloodline in his entire body and transformed into his strongest beast soul form. A ferocious tiger silhouette appeared on his body and amplified his strength. Under the beast soul form, the explosive strength of the man in luxurious clothes was sufficient to shatter a mountain and cut off a river. But no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to shake the restriction, let alone open the wooden box. High-grade Tao artifact, break. Since he was unable to tear open the wooden box's restriction with brute force, the man in luxurious clothes withdrew a high-grade Tao artifact with extraordinary might and utilized all his strength to attack the wooden box. Yet he was still unable to tear open the wooden box's restriction. Slowly, the time for an incense stick to burn passed by. The man in luxurious clothes, who was exhausted to the point of being half dead, failed to break the restriction and lost a Tao treasure to the linen-robed old man. After the man in luxurious clothes was defeated, an old man who felt that his attainments in formations and restrictions were extremely deep walked forward and placed a Tao treasure on the wooden box before starting to break open the wooden box's restriction. Using blood as the medium, break the restriction. The old man quickly spat out several mouthfuls of blood and injected a large amount of restriction power into the blood, fusing it into the wooden box's restriction. Suddenly, rays of restriction light were projected on the surface of the wooden box, giving him hope of breaking the restriction. But in the next moment, the flowing restriction light became dimmer and dimmer. Drops of blood fused with a large amount of restriction were constantly shattered by the wooden box's restriction and finally disappeared. Puff, puff, puff. The old man didn't give up. He spat out blood continuously at all costs and continued to use the blood as the medium to forcibly break the restriction. But after spitting out several liters of blood, his entire person was somewhat exhausted. He still couldn't break the wooden box's restriction and finally failed. 2 people in a row ended in failure. It was like a basin of cold water had been poured on everyone's heart, letting them know that this was not a pie but a trap. Everyone calmed down. Anyone else? Anyone else? The linen-robed old man narrowed his eyes and said with a smile when he saw that the people who were just enthusiastic had all become obedient, "Let I have a try." At this time, an old man in a white robe, with snowy white hair and a red face, walked over and placed a Tao treasure on the stall. Marquis Qianjia, the Marquis of the Kirin Kingdom, an expert from Nirvana. Looking at the white-robed old man, many people recognized his identity. He was the Marquis of the Kirin Kingdom, an expert from Nirvana. His strength was extremely terrifying. "I hope you can succeed." The linen-robed old man passed the wooden box to Marquis Qianjia and said with a smile, "Humph." Marquis Qianjia looked at the inconspicuous linen-robed old man coldly and took the wooden box. He used his old right hand to feel it up and down. Then he took out a Gu Dao treasure level fishbone dagger and attacked the corner of the wooden box with all his strength. Marquis Qianjia's attack was extremely terrifying. However, he was surprised that Broken River Chuan didn't manage to break the restriction on the wooden box. Dang, dang, dang. Marquis Qianjia's face darkened as he increased his strength to 100%. A series of terrifying knocking sounds could be heard as the fishbone dagger hit the corner of the wooden box continuously. Loud vibrations could be heard, and the terrifying recoil caused the air to tremble violently. Marquis Qianjia was an expert from Nirvana, and the fishbone dagger in his hand was a Gu Dao treasure. When he attacked with all his strength, even a high-grade Dao artifact would be broken. However, he couldn't break the restriction on the wooden box. Metal Dao diagram. After a series of fruitless attacks, Marquis Qianjia formed a powerful metal Dao diagram. A large number of metal Dao inscriptions flowed out from the Dao diagram and merged into the fishbone dagger. He activated the power of the Gu Dao treasure and attacked fiercely. However, just like the other two, Marquis Qianjia used all his strength but still couldn't break the restriction on the wooden box. At this time, 30 minutes had passed. 3 had 6 arms. When the time was up and he failed to break the restriction, Marquis Qianjia felt humiliated. However, he didn't stop. Instead, he transformed into his 3 heads, 6 arms form and tried to break the restriction with his 6 arms. Time is up. Get lost. When the old man saw that Marquis Qianjia had gone back on his words, the smile on his face disappeared instantly. One of his old hands broke out of his wide sleeves and stepped into the air. He formed a huge hand and grabbed Marquis Qianjia. Marquis Qianjia was enraged by the sudden attack. He held the fishbone dagger in his hand and stabbed it towards the sky. However, the huge hand formed by the old man was too terrifying. It crushed the attack of the fishbone dagger and grabbed Marquis Qianjia, who was shocked. He was thrown out of the celestial street like a chick. SSS. Witnessing this scene, the crowd around the stall sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes towards the linen-robed old man were filled with awe and fear. "Is there anyone else who wants to give it a try?" The old man said with a harmless smile on his old face. He looked at the crowd who were stunned by his strength and said with a smile. However, the crowd was quiet now. No one dared to give it a try. The noisy crowd suddenly quietened down. Photos of this week's plunder of the heavens. Add your friend on WeChat. Y1TY83. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1138. What terrifying strength! Jiaoyan looked at the linen-robed old man in awe. She was completely stunned by his strength and wanted to pull Yi Qinfeng away from here. "Let me try." At this time, a young man with fair skin and a dignified bearing wearing a dark golden robe embroidered with tiger patterns walked over. His aura resonated with the surrounding air. There was a disdainful aura between his brows, showing that he was extraordinary. Dilinga, the crown prince of 9 heavens' god kingdom. Looking at this man in high spirits, many people recognized his identity. He was the crown prince of 9 heavens' god kingdom, Dilinga. However, such a shocking talent had lost to the third prince, Difeyang, in the battle for the crown prince position. This was enough to show that Difeyang was even more powerful and stunning. She placed a Tao treasure on the table, then picked up the wooden box that was filled with restrictive spells. In the next moment, a saber cry that sounded like a dragon and a tiger rang out. A battle saber with dragon and tiger patterns appeared in Dilinga's hand. When he held this battle saber, his aura underwent a shocking change. The sharp killing intent caused many people to feel fear, not daring to get close to him. Quasi-saint artifact, dragon, tiger, dual kill, saber looking at the battle saber in Dilinga's hand. Many people exclaimed. They recognized the origin of this saber. This saber came from the number 1 Saint Master of 9 heavens' god kingdom, Master Nirvana. It was one of the 3 quasi-saint artifacts that he was most proud of. It could cut through the sun, moon, and stars. Di Lingayi Chenfeng, who was controlling the God-Eater brain to rapidly deduce, looked at the imposing Dilinga. He really wanted to know how strong this crown prince of the 9 heavens divine nation was. Break! Dilinga tossed the wooden box into the air and soared into the air. The yin-yang Tao diagram and the heavenly Tao diagram appeared around him. With a shout, he fused with the dragon-tiger dual-kill sabers. A terrifying Tao intent erupted, causing everyone present to feel suffocated and terrified. When Dilinga deduced the 2 Tao diagrams to the extreme, he slashed out a shocking saber strike. When it landed on the wooden box's restrictions, the wooden box suddenly trembled violently. Fine cracks appeared on it, and the entire wooden box heavily fell to the ground. Yeah, it's not on. Looking at the wooden box that had fallen to the ground but was quickly healing, Dilinga frowned slightly, revealing a trace of surprise. Just now, he had almost raised his attack power to the limit, and the 2 Tao diagrams had been deduced to the limit. Even if it was a top-grade Tao artifact, it would be able to break it. However, when this saber strike struck the wooden box, it was unable to break the wooden box. This surprised him. Not only was Dilinga shocked, the spectators were also shocked. They didn't dare to believe that the restrictions on the wooden box were so strong, blocking Dilinga's saber attack. Junior, your attack power is indeed not bad, but if you want to rely on brute force to tear apart the restrictions on the wooden box, it is still far from enough. The linen-robed old man looked at the frowning Dilinga and slowly said, Senior, I want to strike again. If this strike is still fruitless, then the Tao treasure will be yours. Although the linen-robed old man's words were a little harsh, Dilinga knew that he had met an expert and did not dare to be presumptuous. The linen-robed old man said with a smile, who Dilinga took a deep breath, and the 2 Tao diagrams once again appeared on his body. When the 2 Tao diagrams were deduced to the limit, Dilinga quickly struck out with his saber. This saber strike was invincible. This saber strike was like the Milky Way falling to the ground. Everyone only saw a flash before their eyes, and Dilinga's dragon-tiger double-kill saber struck the wooden box. A terrifying saber intent instantly filled the air, scaring many people who were not strong enough or had weak hearts of martial arts. They almost fell to the ground on their butts. As for the level 4 combat Beast Emperor Jiaoyan, she was also affected by the killing intent of this saber strike. Her legs went soft, and she leaned on Yi Qinfeng. Dang! A loud sound came from the surface of the wooden box. Although Dilinga's second strike had broken the wooden box's restrictions, it still did not split open, and the wooden box was opened. Junior admits defeat. This Tao treasure is Senior's. After 2 strikes, Dilinga did not strike a 3rd time. This was because he knew that with his attack power, he was indeed unable to directly tear apart the wooden box's restrictions. There was no point in continuing to attack. You know when to advance and retreat. Not bad. The linen-robed elder looked at Delinga, who took the initiative to give up. His turbid eyes revealed a trace of admiration as he slowly said, "Is there anyone else who wants to give it a try? If there is no one else, this old man will have to pack up." The linen-robed elder looked at the various expressions of the crowd and slowly said, "Seeing that even the crown prince of 9 heavens' divine kingdom was unable to break the wooden box's restrictions, everyone present was completely sure that this was a trap. This wooden box's restrictions could not be opened at all. Since there is no one else, then I will give it a try." At this moment, Yi Qin-feng, who had been controlling the God-Eater brain, spoke. Through the God-Eater brain's rapid deduction, he had captured the real situation of this restriction and found a way to break it. Furthermore, he had also found the origin of this restriction in the God-Eater brain. Seeing Yi Qin-feng slowly walk out, the surrounding crowd revealed a trace of disdain. In their view, even the crown prince of 9 heavens' divine kingdom, Nirvana's Delinga, could not break this wooden box's restrictions. Yi Qin-feng, who was only a rank 4 combat beast emperor, would definitely not be able to break it. He was only doing this to please the crowd. "Looking at your appearance, you seem to be very confident." The linen-robed elder narrowed his eyes and sized up Yi Qin-feng as he slowly said, "I'm not 100% confident, but I'm 80% confident," Yi Qin-feng said calmly. His words immediately caused a commotion. As for Delinga and the others who had failed to break the restriction, their expressions were clearly unsightly. "Since you are so confident, then give it a try. I hope you are not bragging," the linen-robed elder said with a smile. "If I'm not wrong, the restriction in this box should be the heaven imprisonment restriction. It has been passed down since ancient times and can trap saint beasts. However, according to my observation, this heaven imprisonment restriction only has a trace of the true essence of the heaven imprisonment restriction. Its power is not even 1% of the true heaven imprisonment restriction." Yi Qin-feng took out a Dao treasure and placed it on the stall. He gently picked up the wooden box that was not very heavy and had a powerful restriction flowing on it. Buzz! Just as Yi Qin-feng finished speaking, the linen-robed elder's turbid eyes shot out rays of light. The wrinkles on his face completely relaxed, revealing a trace of pleasant surprise. "That's right. This is the heaven imprisonment restriction. Little brother has good eyesight. Quickly try and see if you can break this heaven imprisonment restriction. If you can choose whatever you want from my stall," the linen-robed elder urged excitedly. Looking at the linen-robed elder's excited appearance, the people who were quietly ridiculing Yi Qin-feng were all dumbfounded. "Good." Yi Qin-feng nodded. He stretched out his hand and slowly touched the wooden box's restriction. In the next moment, Yi Qin-feng's finger pointed out like lightning and touched the wooden box's restriction. Then Yi Qin-feng withdrew his finger and pointed out 9 more fingers in succession, each on the wooden box's restriction. Suddenly, with Yi Qin-feng's finger as the center, a ripple of energy quickly spread out in all directions. Soon, crisscrossing cracks appeared on the wooden box's restriction, and the cracks spread faster and faster, soon covering the entire wooden box. This strange scene stunned the entire crowd. All of the people present were dumbstruck. They did not dare to believe what they were seeing. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the save below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1139. The two of them couldn't have colluded to put on a show, right? Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test it, shouldn't be. That old man is a reclusive expert. Marquis Qian Ji was thrown out like a chicken by him. He shouldn't be so bored as to play tricks on us. The scene of Yi Qin-feng cracking the wooden box with his 10 fingers shocked everyone present. The crowd began to discuss animatedly, and the whole place became unprecedentedly noisy. After 10 fingers, Yi Qinfeng's hands quickly formed seals, forming many restriction-breaking runes. Then he infused them into the cracked, confining heavenly restriction, preventing the cracks from closing. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng tapped out 10 more times consecutively, tapping on the same spot as before, completely shattering the restrictions on the wooden chest in one go. Gu! After witnessing the scene of Yi Qinfeng breaking the seal so easily, the whole place fell silent. Pairs of eyes widened as they looked at the open wooden box in Yi Qinfeng's hands. They could not believe what had just happened. You broke it. You really know how to break the heaven imprisonment seal, the old man in the linen robe said excitedly as his turbid eyes shone brightly. He looked at Yi Qinfeng as if he was looking at a rare treasure. Senior, can I choose my treasures now? Yi Qinfeng smiled faintly as he looked at the agitated old man in linen robes. Of course. You can choose whatever you want from my stall. The old man in the linen robe kept looking at Yi Qinfeng with his turbid eyes, trying to see through him. I will take this amulet. Yi Qinfeng glanced at the treasures in the stall and picked up the most valuable amulet, which was suspected to be a quasi-sage level amulet. He turned around and was about to leave. Wait, little friend, wait. At this time, the old man in the linen robe suddenly reached out and grabbed his arm, afraid that he would run away. Senior, do you still have something to say? Yi Qinfeng turned his head and looked at the old man in the linen robe with a meaningful smile. Little friend, I'd like to ask you for a favor. After the matter is settled, you can choose any 3 items from my stall to take away, the linen-robed old man said with a smile. Senior, you don't want me to help you break the real heavenly imprisonment seal, do you? Yi Qinfeng had already guessed that the linen-robed old man was just throwing a brick to attract Jade, so he replied with a smile. Little friend, you are indeed a smart person. As long as you help me, I will definitely repay you generously. The linen-robed old man's smile grew wider. Just based on the things in Senior's stall, I'm afraid it's not even close to a generous reward. Although the items in the linen-robed old man's stall were extremely valuable, and every single one of them was enough to cause people to fight over them, Yi Qinfeng knew that these items were not rare for an expert of the linen-robed old man's level. He intended to extort more valuable items from the linen-robed old man. All right, as long as you help me release the true heavenly imprisonment seal, I'll give you 3 treasures. Seeing the smile on Yi Qinfeng's face, the old man gritted his teeth and took out 5 treasures from his universe ring for Yi Qinfeng to choose from. Crimson gold blood mushroom, looking at the fist-sized crimson gold spirit mushroom that seemed to have fiery red blood flowing inside and exuding surging heat. Yi Qinfeng's eyes suddenly lit up. The crimson gold blood mushroom was extremely valuable. It could only grow at the intersection of metal and fire sources. Moreover, its growth speed was extremely slow. It would take at least 300,000 years to grow to the size of a fist. To a fire attribute expert, the crimson gold blood mushroom was as valuable as a sage pill. They would definitely be willing to exchange everything for it. In addition to the crimson gold blood mushroom, there was also a slightly yellowed array diagram with a broken corner that attracted Yi Qinfeng's attention. Although this array diagram was broken, when the power of the God-Eater brain seeped into it, it immediately felt the mysteries of this array diagram. Moreover, he had confidence in the God-Eater brain. He believed that as long as he was given time, the God-Eater brain would be able to repair this array diagram through deduction. Besides the crimson gold blood mushroom and the array diagram, Yi Qinfeng looked at the 3rd treasure. Although a quasi-saint rank spear and a 10-mark quasi-saint pill were extremely valuable, Yi Qinfeng's gaze turned to a black box. Senior, what is inside this black box? Yi Qinfeng asked softly. Black, tainted blood. The corners of the old man's eyes twitched as he slowly said, Black, tainted blood. Black, tainted blood that could taint sage treasures. The God-Eater brain had an introduction to black, tainted blood. Black tainted blood was one of the 5 great tainted blood in the world. It tainted everything. Even sage treasures that were tainted by black tainted blood would be damaged, and their power would be greatly reduced. It could be said that black tainted blood was the nemesis of all Tao treasures and sage treasures. Its value was immeasurable. Many people in the crowd had heard of black tainted blood before. Even the 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom's crown prince, Linga, had developed a strong interest in black tainted blood. He was thinking about how to obtain it. These 5 treasures are truly extraordinary. They are worth my effort to break the heaven imprisonment seal. Although Yi Qinfeng knew that the old man definitely had even more precious treasures on him, he knew that he wouldn't be able to extort them. The black tainted blood mushroom, the crimson gold blood mushroom, and the array diagram were already precious enough. They were worth him using his full strength. Good. As long as you can help me break the heaven imprisonment seal, you can take any 3 of my 5 treasures. After saying that, the old man took out a pitch-black iron box from his yin and yang ring. It didn't seem to have any gaps at all and looked like it was made by nature. He passed it to Yi Qinfeng. Heaven imprisonment seal. This was the true heaven imprisonment seal. Feeling the terrifying restriction energy on the surface of the iron box, Yi Qinfeng closed his eyes. The God-Eater brain's energy completely radiated out. After 10,000 times of amplification, it seeped into the heaven imprisonment seal, searching for the seal nodes. Putting on an act, I don't believe that he can break the heaven imprisonment seal with the strength of a 4th-level war beast emperor. That's right. I heard that this heaven imprisonment seal is one of the top 10 ancient seals. It can trap holy beasts and seal stars. With his little cultivation, he dares to try to break it. I think he will be shocked to death by the power of the heaven imprisonment seal. There was no lack of knowledgeable people in the crowd. They had heard of the great name of the heaven imprisonment seal and knew its power. They definitely did not believe that Yi Qinfeng would be able to create another miracle and take away a treasure that would make them jealous. All of you shut up, whoever's talking nonsense. I will throw him out of here. The hemp-robed old man's face darkened when he heard the discussions around him. A mountain-like aura was released from his aged body as he coldly warned. Feeling the warning of the old man's aura, the people who had difficulty breathing were like birds startled by the twang of a bow. However, at this moment, no one left. They all wanted to know if Yi Qinfeng could break the heaven imprisonment seal. Yi Qinfeng held the black iron box in his hand. Based on his previous exploration, he controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce for an incense stick's time. He found the 48 seal nodes of the heaven imprisonment seal. According to the God-Eater brain's detailed description of the heaven imprisonment seal, there were a total of 64 seal nodes. Only by finding all these nodes and breaking them one by one could the seal be broken. However, the heaven imprisonment seal was too powerful. The God-Eater brain could not find all 64 deeply hidden spatial nodes in a short period of time. After hesitating for a moment, Yi Qinfeng suddenly made a move. His fingers, which were filled with thousands of kilograms of force, pierced the seal nodes one by one. Immediately, the heaven imprisonment seal that sealed the black iron box boiled violently like boiling water. Fine cracks spread out in all directions at a speed visible to the naked eye. The changes of the heaven imprisonment seal shocked everyone present. The eyes of the old man in the linen robe lit up, revealing a strong sense of excitement. Mobile reading home. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1140. This imprisonment heavenly seal was truly an ancient seal. The 64 spatial nodes were interconnected, and many spatial nodes were hidden under other spatial nodes. It would not be easy to find all of them. While Yi Qinfeng was attacking the 48 nodes, The God-Eater brain was still rapidly deducing. After continuous probing, it found 63 nodes, but it did not find the last one. Where was the last restriction node? Yi Qinfeng's brows furrowed tightly together. After pondering for a moment, Yi Qinfeng's finger moved quickly, stabbing at the 63 nodes like lightning. Immediately, the imprisonment heavenly seal was covered with crisscrossing cracks. Seeing that the imprisonment heavenly seal was about to be broken, Yi Qinfeng was unable to make the final point. In the end, the cracks healed at a visible rate. "Little friend, why did you stop?" I felt like I was just one step away from breaking the imprisonment heavenly seal. Seeing the imprisonment heavenly seal quickly heal, the linen-robed old man's smile instantly froze, and he said anxiously, "This imprisonment heavenly seal has 64 nodes. Only by finding all 64 nodes can you break the imprisonment heavenly seal." However, I only found 63 nodes, so I failed. Yi Qinfeng slowly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of turbid air. He stared at the imprisonment heavenly seal that had completely healed and sank into deep thought. "Don't worry, take your time. I believe that with Little Friend's ability, you will definitely be able to find the last node." Knowing that Yi Qinfeng was only one node away from breaking the imprisonment heavenly seal, the linen-robed old man's eyes shone brighter than the stars. He was impatient to find out just what kind of shocking secret was hidden inside this iron box that he had risked his life to obtain. When the onlookers heard Yi Qinfeng's words, they could not help but gasp. The way they looked at him changed greatly, and they could not help but guess his identity. How do I find the last node of the restriction? Yi Qinfeng's frown deepened as the God-Eater brain's calculation speed increased. More than 2 hours passed, but Yi Qinfeng still had not found anything. No, if there really was a 64th restriction in this heaven-imprisoning restriction, with the God-Eater brain's heaven-defying deduction ability, it would definitely be able to find it. It seemed that a special method was needed to break the heaven imprisonment seal. After pondering for a while, Yi Qinfeng had a flash of inspiration and realized where the problem lay. Sword Dao diagram in order to prove his guess. Yi Qinfeng shifted his mind and the sword Dao diagram appeared on his body. 108 sword runes circled around the Dao diagram, releasing endless sword power. A sword Dao diagram. With his strength as a 4th-grade beast emperor, he could actually condense a sword Dao diagram. Could it be that he came from the sword sect? Was he a top genius of the sword sect? Yes, that was very likely. The sword faction's geniuses were indeed extraordinary. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's sword Dao diagram, many people misunderstood his identity and started whispering to each other, "No, he's not from the sword sect." The woman, who was wearing a tight black martial arts suit and had a hot figure, exuding a strong sword essence and murderous aura, suddenly appeared. Her sharp eyes shot out streaks of fighting spirit as she spoke arrogantly. "Jian Tianzi, I didn't expect you to come as well." Linga's eyes lit up when she saw this valiant woman in black who exuded a different kind of beauty. She revealed a smile that was like a spring breeze as she slowly walked over. Jian Tianzi, so it was her. Although Jian Tianzi rarely appeared in public, she was very famous. She was the number one of the younger generation of the sword sect. She had an innate sword body and unparalleled sword skills. She had cultivated her sword Dao to perfection as a 1st-grade beast emperor. Since her debut, she had rarely been defeated. She was one of the most popular, peerless geniuses in the central mainland. "I'm only here to see if there's anyone worthy of me fighting." Jian Tianzi was like a cold and arrogant peacock as she spoke. "Linga, when will you have a good competition with me? Let me see how much you've grown in the past few years." "All right, after the Sky Palace competition, I'll fight with you." "What if you lose to me?" Linga looked at Jian Tianzi's cold and arrogant face with a burning gaze. "I've said it before. If you can defeat me, I'll marry you. But with your current strength, it's not enough to defeat me," Jian Tianzi said coldly and didn't give Linga any face at all. Linga wasn't angry. She stood beside the beauty with a smile. Suddenly, an ear-piercing sound broke through the air. Under the control of Yi Qinfeng's intent, 63 sword Dao patterns attacked the 63 restriction nodes of the Heaven Imprisonment Seal at the same time. Crack! After being attacked by 63 sword Dao patterns at the same time, a large number of cracks appeared on the Heaven Imprisonment Seal again, covering the entire metal box. The God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, sensed the location of the 64th restriction node in the Heaven Imprisonment Seal. As expected, after attacking 63 restriction nodes at the same time, the last restriction node would appear. After confirming his guess, Yi Qinfeng didn't hesitate. The bronze sword soul flew out of his soul sea and attacked the last restriction node at an extremely fast speed. It was also the most powerful restriction node, which was hidden in the deepest part of the Heaven Imprisonment Seal. Bronze sword soul. The moment the bronze sword soul appeared, Jian Tianzi's gaze was deeply attracted. Her arrogant face revealed a trace of surprise. Crack! Under the attack of the bronze sword soul, layers of restrictions were torn apart. The last restriction node of the Heaven Imprisonment Seal was broken, and the Heaven Imprisonment Seal that imprisoned the black metal box also disappeared. It was undone. It was really undone. The moment Yi Qinfeng undid the Heaven Imprisonment Seal, the linen-robed elder immediately took back the black metal box from Yi Qinfeng's hands. The wrinkles on his face relaxed at this moment. Little friend, you have great means. You actually undid the Heaven Imprisonment Seal and even cultivated the bronze sword soul. You are really not simple, the linen-robed elder said with a smile. Senior, can I choose the 3 treasures and take them away? Yi Qinfeng looked at the excited linen-robed elder and asked softly, Of course, you can choose any of the 5 treasures. Although the linen-robed elder didn't open the black metal box, without the Heaven Imprisonment Seal, he still felt that the treasures in the box were not ordinary. Okay, then I won't hold back. As he spoke, Yi Qinfeng put the black blood, the broken formation map, and the red gold blood Ganoderma into the universal mirror. After choosing the treasures, Yi Qinfeng wanted to leave with Jiao Yuyan. At this moment, the linen-robed elder suddenly stopped him and said with a smile, Little friend, I think we are fated. Are you interested in worshipping I as your master and becoming the first disciple of I? If you are willing, when I is buried, I will pass on my legacy to you. Thank you for your kindness, Senior, but I have no intention of becoming your disciple. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and declined politely. Little friend, I really feel that we are fated. In the entire central continent, the number of people who want to be my disciple can probably line up to the outside of the Fire God City. Think about it again. After seeing Yi Qinfeng's means and potential, the linen-robed elder had a strong interest in him. The Tao Addict, one of the top 10 independent cultivators in the Central World. Hearing the linen-robed elder's self-introduction, the onlookers gasped. They finally knew why the linen-robed elder was so powerful. He was the existence at the top of the Central World. Thank you for your kindness, Senior, but I have no intention of becoming your disciple. Goodbye. Although Yi Qinfeng would have a backer in the Central World if he became the disciple of the Tao Addict, he had too many secrets. He didn't know much about the Tao Addict, so he decisively refused. After speaking, Yi Qinfeng took Jiao Yiyan's white and tender hand and quickly left under the regretful gaze of the Tao Addict. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click the Save button at the bottom to record this reading. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1141. Fengchen, did you really refuse? She is the Tao Addict, one of the top 10 loose cultivators in the Central World. If you can take her as your master, no one in the Central World will dare to provoke you. The Tao Addict's name was too famous in the Central World. Jiao Yuyan couldn't imagine that Yi Qinfeng would actually refuse the Tao addict's request. Yuyan, don't worry about this matter. Come, this is for you. Yi Qinfeng took out a necklace-shaped, exquisite, and beautiful dark golden amulet and gave it to Jiao Yuyan. Feng Qin, I chose this amulet for you. Come, drip a drop of blood on it. I will put it on for you. Yi Qinfeng interrupted Jiao Yuyan's words and said softly, Thank you. Looking at Yi Qinfeng's gentle eyes, Jiao Yuyan's heart was filled with sweetness. She obediently bit her finger and squeezed out a drop of blood, dripping it on the dark golden amulet. Next, Yi Qinfeng went behind her and put the necklace-shaped amulet on her white neck, making her even more charming. So sweet it really makes people envious. Just as Yi Qinfeng and Jiao Yuyan were about to leave, a pleasant voice suddenly entered Yi Qinfeng's ears. A charming and beautiful woman, accompanied by 2 attendants, slowly walked over while fanning herself with a folding fan. She had phoenix eyes, an oval face, bright red lips, and ripples in her limpid eyes. She was dressed in black men's clothing, and she was fanning herself with a folding fan. Her facial features were as exquisite as if they were carved. Seeing this woman wearing men's clothes, Yi Qinfeng's pupils unconsciously shrank. He didn't expect to meet the princess of Octahead Divine Nation, Shui Hanyan, here. Why, are you surprised to see me? Shui Hanyan's red lips slightly raised, revealing a trace of an enchanting smile as she slowly said, It was indeed a bit unexpected. Yi Qinfeng calmly said, I am from the Central World. What's so strange about seeing me? But you, all right, you are not looking for me to reminisce about the past, right? What do you want from me? Yi Qinfeng interrupted Shui Hanyan's words, not letting her reveal too much information about him. I am going to use the Heaven Domain Gate to cultivate the Nirvana realm. I want the petals of the 4 golden petals, Fire Lotus. Shui Hanyan went straight to the point. Sure, but you need to give me something in exchange. Yi Qinfeng nodded. Okay, then I'll use a secret to exchange with you. What do you think? The corners of Shui Hanyan's mouth slightly raised, revealing a trace of craftiness. She transmitted her voice. I'll help you keep your identity a secret, and you give me 4 golden fire lotus petals. You won't lose out in this deal, right? You're trying to blackmail me. Yi Qinfeng's face darkened. He looked at Shui Hanyan, who was smiling like a flower and wearing men's clothes, and whispered to her, If you think like this, it can be considered blackmail. Shui Hanyan acted as if she had already eaten Yi Qinfeng and said, If the 9 Heavens God Nation and the Kirin Kingdom knew that the people they sent to the outer continent were all killed by you, and all the opportunities were taken by you, how do you think they will deal with you? Will they send experts to endlessly hunt you down? Fine, you win. I'll give you the 4 petals of the golden petal fire lotus. However, what I hate the most is being threatened by others. If there is a next time, be careful. Yi Qinfeng's expression will sink. In the end, he will still compromise. So what if I threaten you? Shui Hanyan interrupted Yi Qinfeng's transmission. Her seductive body slightly moved closer, and her bright red lips tightly pressed against Yi Qinfeng's ear. She breathed out a fragrance from her mouth. Could it be that you are willing to kill me? Feeling the tingling sensation in his ear, Yi Qinfeng clearly smelled the fragrance coming from Shui Hanyan's mouth, which made him feel a little strange in his heart. And Jiao Yuyan looked from the side. Shui Hanyan's tender and alluring lips were almost touching Yi Qinfeng's ear, as if she was biting his earlobe, which made people daydream. Although Jiao Yuyan really wanted to interrupt Shui Hanyan, Shui Hanyan's aura was too strong, making her unable to summon the slightest bit of courage. She could only be angry inwardly. These 4 petals are for you. Touching Shui Hanyan's charming eyes, Yi Qinfeng helplessly sighed in his heart. He plucked the 4 petals and gave them to Shui Hanyan. Then he pulled Jiao Yuyan and wanted to leave. Yi Qinfeng, a woman's jealousy, is very strong. You are the man I like. I won't allow you to get close to other women. If you don't want anything to happen to her, you better stay away from her. Seeing Yi Qinfeng pulling Jiao Yiyan's hand and leaving, Shui Hanyan's eyes revealed a trace of coldness, and she transmitted a warning sound. Yu Yan is my friend. If you dare to hurt me, I swear I won't let you off. Yi Qinfeng slightly paused and transmitted his voice. He. So it's just a friend. Shui Hanyan's cold and elegant face suddenly bloomed with a charming smile. Seeing that you are willing to explain, I will spare her. Feng Qin, who is that woman? After leaving, Jiao Yiyan couldn't help but ask softly. She is a friend of mine. Yi Qinfeng also didn't know what the relationship between him and Shui Hanyan was. After thinking about it, it was more accurate to call her a friend. She is so overbearing. Jiao Yiyan said softly, let's ignore her, let's go back. After encountering Shui Hanyan, Yi Qinfeng completely lost interest. Shui Hanyan was right. Yi Qinfeng was indeed afraid of exposing his identity. If people from the two divine kingdoms knew his identity, and knew that he destroyed the inheritance of the Sky Clan in Xingluo continent, they would definitely not let him go. Although with his current strength he could kill Nirvana's experts. But facing Nirvana, who was a Nirvana Heavenly Realm expert, he was definitely not her opponent. Just as Yi Qinfeng pulled Jiao Yiyan away, a special stall suddenly attracted Yi Qinfeng's attention, and he pulled Jiao Yiyan over. There were no treasures in this stall. There was only a pale-faced, petite, average-looking woman in tattered clothes. Her face was covered in bloody scars, and her body was curled up and shivering. An old man with a pointy mouth, monkey cheeks, and disgusting yellow teeth was hawking with all his might. Everyone, come and take a look, a woman with a true yang body, a good cultivation furnace, and this girl has the bloodline of the reclusive Zhou family in her body. That is to say, whoever can buy her can not only use her true yang body to cultivate, but also find the Zhou family's ruins through her and get the Zhou family's treasures. After learning about this girl's true yang body, many people showed interest and asked the price. How much is this girl? 1 Dao treasure and 10 million top-grade soul crystals can take her away, the pointy-mouthed old man said with a smile. You are too expensive. Hearing the old man's price, many people directly dispelled the idea. Although a true yang body was a very good cultivation furnace, a woman's pure yin body had long been broken, and her so-called Zhou family bloodline was even more untested. In addition, her appearance was not outstanding, and her figure was very ordinary. So many people directly dispelled the idea of spending a lot of money to buy her to cultivate. Hey, don't go. If you are interested, we can talk about the price again. If you miss the true yang body, you will regret it for the rest of your life. The pointy-mouthed old man looked at the onlookers and immediately shouted when he heard that they wanted to leave after hearing his price. I will buy this girl. At this moment, Yi Qinfeng pulled Jiao Yiyan and walked over. He took a glance at the trembling and panic-stricken petite woman and said coldly, Don't worry. Young master is a man who knows his stuff. Cultivating with a true yang body is not something an ordinary woman can compare to, and it will definitely make young master not want to get out of bed. Hearing that Yi Qinfeng wanted to buy her, the pointy-mouthed old man showed an excited expression and said with an ambiguous smile. Hearing the old man's words, the petite woman, who was curled up, directly hid her head between her legs, looking extremely panicked and humiliated. Take this Dao treasure and 10 million top-grade soul crystals and get out of here. If you talk nonsense again, I will kill you, Yi Qinfeng warned with a gloomy face, full of killing intent. Yes. Feeling Yi Qinfeng's killing intent, the pointy-mouthed old man did not dare to speak again. He counted the top-grade soul crystals, took the Dao treasure thrown by Yi Qinfeng and flew away. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1142. Don't be afraid, come with me. Yi Qinfeng said softly as he slowly walked to the side of the petite girl. He took out a long robe from his universe ring and covered her exposed body. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement, test feeling Yi Qinfeng's action and listening to his gentle voice. The petite girl raised her head slightly and looked at Yi Qinfeng's clear eyes. The uneasiness in her heart eased a little. She gently bit her pale lips and slowly stood up. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Yi Qinfeng noticed the deep fear in the petite girl's eyes and her slightly trembling body. He sent a voice transmission to her. I have some connections with your Zhou family's ancestors. After a while, I'll take you home. Go home? Hearing the two words, go home, the petite girl's body trembled. She had been captured by evil people and tortured in every way possible. Now, someone said that he would take her home, which made her feel like she was dreaming. She couldn't believe that all this was real. Yuan, take care of her. Let's go back. If it weren't for the fact that Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to break the rules casually in Heavenly Neighborhood, Yi Qinfeng would have killed the pointy-mouthed old man with his evil deeds. But before he left, Yi Qinfeng left a soul mark on him, ready to settle accounts with him in the future. Just as Yi Qinfeng, Jiao Yiyan, and the poor girl came to the stone gate of Heavenly Neighborhood, a man with a height of 9 feet, wearing a black robe with python patterns and a strong body exuding a strong sense of oppression, like an iron tower, came over. My friend, can I have a word with you? The burly man came to Yi Qinfeng and said politely, What's the matter? Yi Qinfeng raised his head and glanced at the burly man as he spoke indifferently. I heard that you have a golden fiery lotus, and I want to use treasures to exchange for 2 petals. Is that okay? The burly man asked directly. Sorry, I don't have many petals left. I can't trade with you. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and declined tactfully. Well, can you take a look at my stuff first? If you're not satisfied, I won't force you. Although the burly man's strength was very frightening, he did not use force to buy or sell. Instead, he spoke sincerely. All right then, let me see you and your baby. Although the golden petal fire lotus was precious and had a fatal attraction to Nirvana realm experts, Yi Qinfeng was not prepared to cultivate to the Nirvana realm. Therefore, the golden petal fire lotus was not very useful to him. Moreover, the tall and sturdy man had a good attitude. If the treasure he took out could really move him, then it was not impossible to make a deal. All right, I have a vermilion bird, crested feather, a bottle of soul-returning liquid, and a bottle of heavenly fate water. Can I exchange them for 2 golden flaming lotuses? The burly man took out the 3 treasures and asked softly. Seeing the 3 treasures that the burly man took out, Yi Qinfeng's interest was piqued. The vermilion bird crested feather was the most precious feather of the holy beast vermilion bird. Not only was it indestructible, it could be used to refine quasi-sage tools. The feather also contained the vermilion bird's blood essence, which could greatly nourish Yi Qinfeng's golden rock bloodline. As for the soul-returning liquid, the water of heavenly fate water was also very useful to Yi Qinfeng, especially the water of heavenly fate water that could instantly restore soul power. It was even more precious to Yi Qinfeng. With the water of heavenly fate water, Yi Qinfeng could use the 9-dragon jade annulus to attack without any scruples. Although the burly man did not take out much water of heavenly fate and soul-returning liquid, it was enough to exchange for 2 golden petal fire lotuses. All right, I'll trade with you. Yi Qinfeng nodded and completed the deal with the burly man. Great, my name is Black Tortoise. Let's be friends. Although Black Tortoise knew that the 3 treasures he took out were extremely valuable, the 2 golden petal fire lotuses that could greatly increase his chances of surviving the world ending heavenly punishment were much more precious to him. He revealed a coarse smile and patted Yi Qinfeng's shoulder. Yi Qinfeng had a good impression of Black Tortoise, who was straightforward and did not put on airs. After introducing himself, he said, Brother Black Tortoise, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Black Tortoise nodded and said in a deep voice, All right, let's drink when we have time. After leaving Sky Neighborhood, Yi Qinfeng revealed a satisfied smile. He did not expect to gain so much from Sky Neighborhood, and he even met a suspected descendant of the Zhou family, and murderous aura. Just as Yi Qinfeng was walking towards the inn with Jiao Yiyan and the other pretty girls, Yi Qinfeng's sharp senses suddenly detected a thick, murderous aura locking onto him. In the next moment, Marquis Qianjia, who was thrown out by the Dao addict, walked out from a corner of the street with several masters of the Kirin kingdom and intercepted Yi Qinfeng and the other two people. Kid, I heard that you opened 2 of the old man's boxes and obtained 4 of his treasures. Marquis Qianjia looked coldly at Yi Qinfeng and revealed a malicious smile. So what? What does this have to do with you? Yi Qinfeng glanced at Marquis Qianjia and the others and replied coldly. Although there were 2 masters of the Nirvana, Yi Qinfeng did not mind summoning the sword puppet and killing them all if they angered him. I am interested in the black blood and the red golden blood Ganoderma that you obtained. Are you willing to sell them to me and form a good relationship with me? Marquis Qianjia revealed a cunning smile. How much are you willing to pay for my black blood and the red golden blood Ganoderma? Yi Qinfeng's expression did not change as he asked indifferently. 10 million top-grade soul crystals for your black blood and the red golden blood Ganoderma. Marquis Qianjia said, How generous! Yi Qinfeng sneered and said, Since you are so generous, why don't you find someone else to make a deal with? I am not interested. It seems that you are not satisfied. How about 10 million top-grade soul crystals and the lives of the 3 of you? This deal is not a loss for you, right? Marquis Qianjia revealed a cold expression and threatened with a murderous aura. Marquis Qianjia, I advise you not to mess around. My mother is the Wangtian Marquis of the Zhou Kingdom. If you dare to hurt us, my mother will not let you go. Jiao Yiyan's expression changed as she stood in front of Yi Qinfeng and warned loudly. Yo, I was wondering why you were so beautiful. It turns out that you are the daughter of Jiao Yiyan. Marquis Qianjia sneered as he stared at Jiao Yiyan's beautiful face and said, If your mother was here, I would give her some face. But you are not. Marquis Qianjia, I find that you have been living like a dog all these years. Do you only know how to bully people who are weaker than you? At this moment, a deep voice rang out. The black tortoise had returned with heavy footsteps, bringing with it a suffocating pressure. It slowly walked over and mocked. It was him. Yi Qinfeng looked at Black Tortoise, who suddenly appeared. He suppressed the murderous aura in his heart and revealed a trace of surprise. He did not expect that Black Tortoise would support him at this moment. Black Tortoise, this is none of your business. Why are you here? Marquis Qianjia looked at the tall and sturdy Black Tortoise and said coldly, Feng Qin is a friend that I have just met. I hate people like you, who bully the weak and fear the strong. If you have the guts, fight with me. If you can beat me, you can choose any of the treasures on me. Black Tortoise looked at Marquis Qianjia with disdain and said rudely, You, Marquis Qianjia, glared at Black Tortoise, who did not give him any face. However, when he thought about his strength and identity, he did not dare to fight with him. Marquis Qianjia, are you going to give in just like that? Just when Marquis Qianjia was afraid of Black Tortoise's strength and wanted to retreat, a playful voice sounded. Wearing a dark golden robe embroidered with tiger patterns, the crown prince of Jiutian Divine Kingdom, Dilingo, who had the innate sword body, appeared at the same time. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1143. Dilinga, Jian Tianzi. Looking at the two walking over slowly, Black Tortoise's pupils shrank into the most dangerous pinholes, and his face turned serious. Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test. Although Black Tortoise was very powerful, he could ignore the threat of Marquis Qianhua's identity. However, Di Linga and Jian Tianzi were dragons and phoenixes among men. Their backgrounds were extraordinary, especially Jian Tianzi, who had an inborn sword body and powerful attacks. Black Tortoise was even more afraid of her. What? Are you two birds of a feather? Do you want to force a trade? Yi Qinfeng coldly looked at Di Linga, whose strength was unfathomable. Jian Tianzi, who had an arrogant expression and no expression on her face, said slowly without fear, "No, I'm not here to trade with you. I'm here to challenge you." Jian Tianzi was like a proud peacock. She said arrogantly, "Do you dare to accept my challenge?" Not interested, Yi Qinfeng looked at the valiant Jian Tianzi, who exuded a different kind of beauty, and rejected coldly. "Don't worry, I won't bully you. I'll suppress my power to your level. I won't take advantage of you." Jian Tianzi said proudly, "I don't want to fight with you, not because I'm afraid of you. Although your level is higher than mine, it won't be that easy to defeat me." Yi Qinfeng smiled and said calmly, "I'm just not interested." "Really?" Jian Tianzi's face darkened. A terrifying sword intent exuded from her body. This sword intent was so strong that many people felt like a sword was hanging over their necks. "If you have the guts, then take 3 of my strikes. If you can take 3 of my strikes and not die, then I will immediately leave." Jian Tianzi raised a dazzling golden divine brilliance sword that was filled with tool patterns and had a wide blade. It was a high-grade Dao artifact. She pointed at Yi Qinfeng. "Are you deaf? I just said I'm not interested in fighting with you." Yi Qinfeng looked at Jian Tianzi's cold face and said emotionlessly, "It's not up to you." As she spoke, Jian Tianzi forcefully suppressed her cultivation level to that of a 4th-grade beast emperor. More than 100 sword Dao patterns shot out from her body and gathered behind her to form a sword Dao diagram, locking onto Yi Qinfeng. 168 sword Dao pattern sensing that Jian Tianzi's sword Dao diagram was formed from 168 sword Dao patterns. Yi Qinfeng was shocked. This was the first time he had seen such a powerful sword Dao diagram. "Let me ask you one last time. Are you willing to receive 3 of my swords?" Jian Tianzi pointed the tip of her divine, brilliant sword at Yi Qinfeng and asked coldly, "Jian Tianzi, why don't you let me experience your strength?" Although Black Tortoise didn't have a close relationship with Yi Qinfeng, he couldn't stand people who used their power to oppress others. Therefore, he stepped forward bravely and spoke with high fighting spirit. "No, let me do it." With a thought, Yi Qinfeng took out the high-grade Dao artifact, the Emperor Heaven Sword, and slowly walked towards Jian Tianzi. He said arrogantly, 3 strikes to decide the victor." "That's more like a man." A cold light shot out from Jian Tianzi's phoenix eyes. The sword diagram that appeared around her began to revolve. Boundless sword force gushed out, rushing towards Yi Qinfeng. At this moment, she was like a sword empress. She made people fear her and worship her. "Yuyan, if there is danger later, don't resist. I will teleport you to a safe place." Although Jian Tianzi had suppressed Nirvana's strength to that of a stage 4 combat beast emperor, Yi Qinfeng could still smell a strong sense of danger from her body. He was afraid that an accident would happen, so he transmitted a message to Jiao Yuyan and Jian Tianzi. As he spoke, a large number of sword Dao patterns appeared around Yi Qinfeng's body. They formed a sword Dao diagram to defend against the terrifying sword force. This sword, seeing the Emperor Heaven Sword in Yi Qinfeng's hand, Di Linga's deep eyes revealed a strange look. There were thousands of thoughts in her mind. "First sword." Jian Tianzi shouted. More than 100 sword Dao inscriptions gathered in the divine glory sword. A ray of sword light flew out and evolved into a supreme sword Dao. The sword shot towards Yi Qinfeng, evolving the sword Dao. Jian Tianzi indeed had the right to be arrogant. After witnessing the power of Jian Tianzi's sword, Yi Qinfeng's eyes immediately shrank into the most dangerous pinholes. The God-Eater brain quickly deduced and evolved the profoundness of Jian Tianzi's sword. 80 million pounds of force, using force to break through the Dao. Seeing that the sword light that evolved into a supreme sword Dao was about to pierce Yi Qinfeng's chest, Yi Qinfeng made his move. He stomped on the hard green bricks under his feet and went up with the Emperor Heaven's sword. This sword didn't have any fancy moves. It didn't use any Dao intent. It was just an ordinary sword move. However, this sword move was filled with an unstoppable 80 million pounds of force. With absolute strength, it pierced into the sword Dao that Jian Tianzi had evolved. Crack! The two sword lights clashed in midair and immediately formed a dense, cracking sound. It was an intense clash. In the end, the two sword lights that had brought about boundless sword prowess shattered at the same time and dissipated in midair. Although Jian Tianzi's realm was suppressed and she couldn't unleash her strongest attack, this sword move had fused 80% of the sword Dao diagram's attack. Its power wasn't something that an ordinary Class 6 combat beast emperor could withstand. However, Yi Qinfeng had used his strength to break through her sword Dao. This shocked her and made her even more furious. She was furious at Yi Qinfeng for underestimating her. Jian Tianzi's aura changed once again. Her sexy and enchanting body was filled with killing intent that would make one despair. When the killing intent and sword intent fused together, the terrifying aura that was formed was enough to make one lose the courage to challenge her. Killing Dao. Not only was Jian Tianzi's attainment in the sword Dao extremely high, but she had also comprehended the killing Dao, which was very difficult for others to comprehend. It seemed like this woman's martial arts heart was extraordinary. Otherwise, she would have gone mad in the process of comprehending the killing Dao. Sensing that Jian Tianzi had comprehended the killing Dao, which seemed to be able to dictate the life and death of all living things, Yi Qinfeng revealed a solemn expression. Second sword move as soon as Jian Tianzi finished her sentence. She disappeared. The moment she disappeared, a white glow appeared in the space. This white glow seemed to have come from hell and was filled with the aura of death. It was able to dictate the life and death of all living things. The God-devouring brain, which was rapidly deducing, locked onto the attack trajectory of Jian Tianzi's sword. The sword Dao diagram that appeared behind Yi Qinfeng fused into the Emperor's Sky sword like flowing water, awakening the Emperor's Sky sword's artifact spirit. Yi Qinfeng's wrist shook, and the Emperor's Sky sword fused into an attack trajectory. He unleashed an almost perfect sword move. With this sword move, his essence, chi, and spirit fused perfectly with the Emperor's Sky sword. He was the sword, and the sword was him. There was no distinction between the two. Buzz! The tip of the Emperor's Sky sword clashed with the tip of the Divine Glory sword. The terrifying sword prowess caused the entire void to tremble. The terrifying sword aura that was unleashed instantly made one feel as if 10,000 swords were piercing through one's heart. Third sword move. As the Emperor's Sky sword and the Divine Glory sword clashed, Jian Tianzi unleashed her third sword move. Kacha! A dark golden divine sword appeared from the Divine Glory sword that was trembling intensely. Although this sword looked exactly the same as the Divine Glory sword, this sword's grade had reached the level of a quasi-sacred artifact. Furthermore, this sword move was very sudden. With a sword in the sky, the sword Dao and killing Dao were rapidly deduced. There was nothing that it couldn't destroy. It engulfed the heavens and the earth. This sword contained boundless Dao and could slash apart the sun, moon, and stars. Bronze sword, soul-facing Jian Tianzi's third sword move. Yi Qinfeng decisively abandoned the Emperor's Sky sword and summoned the Ice Dragon sword. He controlled the bronze sword soul to fuse into the ice dragon sword and used all his strength to receive the attack. Under the amplification of the bronze sword soul, the ice dragon sword's attack was unleashed to the extreme. The terrifying sword light fused with the sword Tao intent and tens of millions of kilograms of force. It was as if it had pierced through the six paths. In the blink of an eye, the two swords clashed once again. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Swoosh! Yi Qinfeng and Jian Tianzi's bodies crossed each other rapidly. In the space that they passed by, a large number of shattered sword Tao patterns appeared. This lady has good sword skills. Yi Qinfeng lowered his head and looked at the torn clothes on his chest and the deep sword wound. He slowly turned around and revealed a carefree smile. You're not bad either. Although there were no sword wounds on Jian Tianzi's body, a stream of blood flowed down the back of her fair hand and dripped onto the ground. It was a ghastly sight. After clashing head-on with 3 swords, the 2 of them were evenly matched. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. The next time you open the bookshelf, you will be able to see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1144. Tianzi, you're injured. Dilinga saw the back of Jian Tianzi's hand covered in blood, and her expression changed. She quickly went up and asked about her injuries. I'm fine. Jian Tianzi shook her head. Her red phoenix eyes burned with battle intent as she looked at Yi Qinfeng and said, I'm looking forward to a proper battle with you. I hope you won't make me wait too long. If you really want to fight with your full strength, I'll fight with you after the Sky Hall competition. Yi Qinfeng said fearlessly as he controlled the life spirit pearl and poured down a large amount of life energy to heal the injury on his chest. The gap between our realms is too big. I won't take advantage of you. Even if I defeat you, there's no meaning. Jian Tianzi said coldly. You really are a proud woman. Yi Qinfeng smiled. He admired Jian Tianzi's unyielding character. Let's go. Jian Tianzi put away the divine Huang mother-child sword, glanced at Dilinga beside her, and said arrogantly, Wait, I still have something to ask of him. Dilinga looked at Yi Qinfeng, who had taken away the Emperor's celestial sword, and slowly said, Dilinga, you wouldn't do such a degrading thing, right? Jian Tianzi frowned. She looked at Dilinga, who had a smile on her face, and asked coldly, Of course. I won't be like those people from the Qilin Divine Kingdom, using force to force others to buy and sell. I only want to take back a treasure that belongs to my 9 heavens divine kingdom. Emperor Lingu slowly said, If I am not mistaken, the sword in your hand is the Emperor's celestial sword, right? You're wrong. Yi Qinfeng already knew that the Emperor Heaven's sword belonged to the 9 heavens god nation's old godly emperor. However, he didn't plan on returning it. Whether you admit it or not, I know I'm not wrong. The sword in your hand is the Emperor Heaven's sword. It's the sword of my 9 heavens god nation's godly emperor. Dilinga said calmly, I don't know if you're willing to return this sword to my 9 heavens god nation. But don't worry, I won't take this Emperor Heaven's sword for free. I'm willing to give you a top-grade Dao sword in exchange. Dilinga said generously, I said that you are mistaken. This is not the sword of your 9 heavens divine nation's deity emperor. Yi Qinfeng said indifferently as he kept the ice dragon sword and the Emperor Heaven's sword into the universe mirror. Sir, although this Emperor Heaven's sword's grade is not high to our 9 heavens god nation, it is a symbol of an era. Please return it to us. Emperor Linga did not give up and said, As long as you are willing to return it, you can name any conditions you want. Although Dilinga did not seem to have any problems, and his attitude was very sincere, Yi Qinfeng had a feeling that the reason he insisted on getting the Emperor Heaven's sword back was not simple. The Emperor Heaven's sword was probably hiding a huge secret, a secret that he did not know about. Brother Black Tortoise, we shall meet again. Yuan, let's go. Yi Chenfeng did not continue to tangle with Dilinga and wanted to leave with Jiao Yuan and the Zhou family woman. Wait, Dilinga's body flashed and blocked in front of Yi Chenfeng as he said coldly, Sir, do you really want to meet me on the battlefield? It's not that I want to meet you on the battlefield, but that you keep on nagging and insist on bothering Yi Chenfeng. Dilinga's eyes turned cold as he said fearlessly, What, are you in trouble? Do you want me to help you solve it? At this moment, a pleasant female voice sounded out. Wearing men's clothing, Shui Hanyan, who could not hide her proud figure and beautiful face, waved her fan as she walked over with her 2 followers. Shui Hanyan seeing Shui Hanyan suddenly appear, Dilinga frowned. He did not think that Shui Hanyan would appear at this time to stand up for Yi Chenfeng. All right, then please help me chase away some annoying flies, Yi Chenfeng said softly with a faint smile as he looked at Shui Hanyan, who had a frivolous look on her face. I really want the Emperor's sky, sword back. If you continue to hurt people, don't blame me for being impolite. Dilinga's face darkened as he said angrily, Dilinga, tear off your hypocrite face. Shui Hanyan came to Yi Chenfeng's side and said impolitely, Do you know why you lost to Di Feiyang in the battle for the Emperor? It's because you are too hypocritical and fake. If the 9 Heavens God Nation is in your hands, it will be destroyed sooner or later. Shui Hanyan, I advise you not to anger me, or else I won't be polite to you, and Shui Hanyan will uncover my scars in front of everyone. This made Dilinga furious, and she warned coldly, Okay, then I'll see how you are going to be impolite to me. Shui Hanyan put away her fan and said fearlessly with her red lips curled up. Although her strength was far from Dilinga's, her 2 followers were very powerful. If they really fought, she would not be at a disadvantage. Moreover, after Di Feiyang became the emperor, he kept attacking Dilinga's forces. Once Dilinga had a conflict with him, it would cause a conflict between the 2 god nations. Di Feiyang would definitely take advantage of this and give him a fatal blow. Shui Hanyan, I'll say it here today. You can't protect him. I must take back the Emperor's Sky Sword. With that, Dilinga took out his communication bead and sent a message to King Tu, telling him about the reappearance of the Emperor's Sky Sword. Let's go. Seeing Dilinga send a message to King Tu in front of everyone, Shui Hanyan frowned and said decisively, King Tu was a powerful figure in the 9 Heavens God Nation. He controlled a huge force. If he showed up, then things would develop into an irreversible situation. Before Uncle Wong comes, none of you can leave. Dilinga's body flashed and blocked in front of Yi Chenfeng with his tall and straight body. You want to stop me? Yi Chenfeng's eyes shot out a dense cold light. Blood and white bones intertwined with killing intent spread out as he said coldly, Yi Chenfeng, you are not his opponent. Before King Tu comes, leave here quickly. I will help you. Shui Hanyan knew Dilinga's strength and was afraid that Yi Chenfeng would be at a disadvantage. She grabbed his arm and urged him to leave. Trust me, even if King Tu comes, he won't dare to hurt me. Seeing the hesitation in Yi Chenfeng's eyes, Shui Hanyan continued, Be careful. Although Shui Hanyan had just blackmailed him and made him angry, Shui Hanyan had stood out when he was in a difficult position. This made Yi Chenfeng even more touched. He reminded her and was about to force his way out. I said before Uncle Wong comes, you can't leave. As he said that, boundless saber intent spread out from Dilinga's body. A mercury-like saber light slashed down from the void towards Yi Chenfeng, not giving him a chance to leave. Seeing Yi Chenfeng and Dilinga clash, Black Tortoise frowned. He kept thinking about whether to help or not. Although he could ignore Marquis Qianhua, he had to face the crown prince of 9 Heavens God Kingdom, Dilinga. In the end, he sighed and gave up on the idea of helping Yi Chenfeng. Just as Yi Chenfeng was about to make a move, a vast aura came from afar. King Tu, wearing a dark golden dragon robe, appeared in an unstoppable manner. He directly cut off Yi Qinfeng's thoughts of forcefully breaking out. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1145. Uncle Wang. This person has the Di Tian Godly King sword. I wanted to pay a high price to get the Godly King's sword back, but this person insisted on not giving it to me. Helplessly, I had to disturb Uncle Wang. Seeing King Tu arrive in time, Dilinga was overjoyed. She immediately went up and reported, respectfully, "Watermark advertisement, test watermark advertisement test. It really is the Di Tian sword." The heavenly King Tu's eyes, which were as deep as cold stars, emitted rays of light. He looked at the frowning Yi Qinfeng and spoke in a deep voice. "If Uncle Wang doesn't believe me, he can take it out and you will know." Dilinga said, respectfully, "Junior, I have seen you before. You should be from the 9 heavens, God Nation." King Tu said in a superior tone, "Exchange the Di Tian sword to the 9 heavens royal family, and I will not mistreat you." "My lord, I don't know anything about the Di Tian sword. If you don't believe me, you can search my body." Yi Qinfeng had already kept the Emperor's Sky sword in the Qian Kuan mirror. No matter how powerful Tu Tawang was, he wouldn't be able to sense the presence of the Emperor's Sky sword from the Qian Kuan mirror. "Junior, although I don't know your relationship with Jiao Rao, do you want her to be implicated by you?" King Tu glared at Yi Qinfeng and threatened. Hearing King Tu's threat, Yi Qinfeng's expression changed slightly. He was alone and wasn't afraid of threats, but he didn't want to implicate Wang Tian Marquis. But seeing how much the 9 heavens God Nation valued the Di Tian sword, he was sure that the Di Tian sword hid a shocking secret. He really didn't want to return this secret to the 9 heavens God Nation. Just as the situation was in a stalemate, thoughts flashed through Yi Qinfeng's mind. Just as he was in a dilemma, an old voice suddenly sounded in his ears. "Kid, do you need my help? If you are willing to be my disciple, I will support you. I will beat this King Tu into a pig head." Dao Addict hearing this voice, Yi Qinfeng raised his eyebrows and was secretly happy. King Tu couldn't compare to the Dao Addict in terms of strength or status. If the Dao Addict supported him, King Tu would be useless. However, Yi Qinfeng was used to being alone. He really didn't want the Tao Addict to be his teacher. He was more afraid that the Tao Addict would find out his secret and harm him. "Heavenly King Tu, he is an honored guest of my 8-head divine nation. If you dare to harm him, my 8-head divine nation will definitely seek justice for him." Shui Hanyan gently bit her alluring red lips as she stood beside Yi Qinfeng and said loudly, "Humph, I suspect that this person stole my 9 heavens divine nation's treasure. Is your 8-head divine nation going to protect a thief?" Tu Tian Wang snorted coldly. "Tu Wang, you've lived for so long in vain, actually bullying a junior." Suddenly, a beautiful voice rang out, and 2 beautiful figures slowly walked over under the illumination of the sun. Looking at one of the women, who was dressed in a light blue veil, her skin was smooth and creamy, and her beauty was flawless. She was so beautiful that she seemed otherworldly. Everyone's eyes were deeply attracted to her. Yan Ryu Heavenly King, Tu frowned slightly. He never thought that one of the 10 great unaffiliated cultivators, the so-called number 1 beauty of the Central World, Yan Ryu, would appear at this critical juncture. "Feng Chen, we meet again." Following behind Yan Ryu was Hui Yilin, who was dressed in a fiery red dress and had a graceful figure. Her white skin had a faint pinkish hue, and her thin lips were tender and alluring like a rose. She smiled faintly and greeted them softly. "Senior Yan Yilin, why are the 2 of you here?" Yi Qinfeng revealed a surprised expression. Although he had once saved Hui Yilin, he did not have any relationship with Yan Ryu. He could not understand why Yen Ruyu would appear at this moment to help him. "We are here to help you." Hui Yilin smiled faintly and said with a pleasant voice, "Yen Ruyu, are you really going to support him?" Tu Tianwang's expression turned abnormally ugly as he said coldly, although he really wanted to take back the Emperor's Sky Sword if Yen Ruyu insisted on supporting Yi Qinfeng, then things would be difficult. He knew that he did not have the strength to make Yen Ryu back off. "Tu Tianwang, I advise you not to touch him or threaten him. Otherwise, even if I don't appear, there will be people who will find trouble with you and your 9 heavens divine nation." Yen Ryu looked coldly at Tu Tianwang and said without a trace of emotion, Hearing Yen Ryu's slightly threatening words, Tu Tianwang's expression turned abnormally ugly. As for Yi Qinfeng, he had a strange expression on his face. He really couldn't figure out who in the central continent would support him. "Sai, little Yan Yan, why are you here?" Just as Tu Tianwang was in a dilemma, a soft sigh sounded. Wearing a linen robe, the seemingly ordinary Dao addict appeared in a flash. "Old man Dao, don't call me little Yan Yan. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you." Hearing how the Dao addict addressed her, Yen Ryu was instantly enraged. An aura surged out from her body like a stormy sea and bombarded the smiling Dao addict. "Just kidding. Do you have to be so agitated?" The Dao addict squinted her small eyes and flicked her finger in the void. Instantly, ripples appeared in the space in front of her and dispersed the aura that Yen Ryu had released. So powerful. Is this the strength of the top experts in the Central World? Although Yen Ryu and the Dao addict just attacked casually, Yi Qinfeng clearly felt their terrible strength. His heart also stopped at the moment when the two forces collided. He had no doubt that if the Dao addict and Yen Ryu really fought with all their strength, the space in the Central World would be destroyed no matter how strong it was. "Boy, let me ask you for the last time. Will you worship I as your master? If you worship me as your master, I will not only beat him into a pig's head, make him kneel and apologize to you, but also give you a treasure. What do you think?" The Dao addict asked loudly, ignoring Tu Tianwang's gloomy eyes and livid face. "Dao addict, don't go too far." Tu Tianwang was about to go crazy. As the lord of the Ju Tian Divine Kingdom, he had never been humiliated like this. He roared angrily, "Yes, I am bullying you. What can you do to me?" The Dao addict picked her nose with her finger and said, "Bite me." "You." Tu Tianwang trembled with anger, and the flames in his eyes seemed to want to melt the Dao addict. However, the Dao addict's strength was too terrifying. She had almost reached the limit of the Nirvana heavenly realm, so he could not summon any courage to fight with her. "Hey, little Tu Tianwang, you have a temper. You dare to be angry with me?" The Dao addict looked at the angry Tu Tianwang and flicked her finger. A disgusting snot that she had just dug out flew out and shot toward Tu Tianwang, whose face changed greatly. Tu Tianwang was about to dodge, but the snot seemed to have traveled through time and space and hit his face heavily. It easily broke his body's defense and sent him flying. "Well, I don't want to bully you anymore. Get out of here as far as you can. If I see you bullying others again, don't blame me for hanging you up and beating you." The Dao addict glanced coldly at Tu Tianwang, whose face was bleeding because of the snot, and warned him overbearingly, "Let's go." Seeing the Dao addict's strength, Tu Tianwang could only grit his teeth and swallow his anger. He left with Di Linga and Jian Tianzi, who were deeply shocked. Me too, me too, me too." Seeing the Dao addict's gaze turn to him, Marquis Qianlai trembled and said hurriedly, "Let me send you on your way." The Dao addict appeared behind Marquis Qianlai in a flash. She waved her arm and created a hurricane, which directly swept Marquis Qianlai and the others away. No one knew where they fell. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1146. Thank you for your help. Seeing Tao Addict's power, Yi Chinfeng was shocked again and thanked her from the bottom of his heart. Watermark advertisement. Test watermark advertisement testits. Just a small favor. Don't worry about it. Tao Addict waved her hand and said carelessly, Kid, now you know how powerful I am. Do you want to be my disciple? Yi Chinfeng hesitated and suddenly saw Jiao Yuyan not far away. He sent a voice transmission. Yuyan, are you interested in being Tao Addict's disciple? If you have Tao Addict's support, King Tu won't dare to take revenge on you. I really want to be Tao Addict's disciple, but Tao Addict likes you, not me. Jiao Yuyan sent a voice transmission. As long as you don't object, I'll think of other ways. Hearing that Jiao Yuyan wanted to be Tao Addict's disciple, Yi Chinfeng smiled faintly and said, If you really want to be my disciple, I have a good candidate to recommend. A good candidate is better than you, Tao Addict said disapprovingly. Yi Chinfeng asked softly, Have you heard of Tianhan body? Tianhan body, a rare Tianhan body. Tao Addict's eyes lit up. Come, Yuyan, come here. Yi Chinfeng called Jiao Yuyan to his side and said, Yuyan is the rare Tianhan body. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Many pairs of surprised eyes looked at Jiao Yuyan, who looked a bit unnatural, especially Yen Ryu. A vertical eye cracked open on her forehead, as if she wanted to see through Jiao Yuyan. Hearing Yi Chinfeng's words, Tao Addict grabbed Jiao Yuyan's wrist, and strands of powerful soul strands drilled into her body. Heavenly soul body. It was really the heavenly soul body, and the heavenly soul body had been activated. Her foundation was extremely solid. After checking Jiao Yuyan's body, the Tao Addict showed a very surprised expression. She said excitedly, Little girl, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Let me ask you, what realm is your soul cultivation now? My soul just broke through to nirvana not long ago. In front of the Tao Addict, Jiao Yuyan didn't dare to hide anything. 4th level, Beast Emperor realm and Nirvana's soul realm. The heavenly soul body was indeed powerful. Knowing Jiao Yuyan's soul realm, the smile on the Tao Addict's face grew wider. She asked, Let me ask you, are you willing to be my disciple? Are you willing to be my first disciple? This junior is willing, but before I formally acknowledge you as my master, can this junior first inform my mother? Jiao Yuyan had long been convinced by the Tao Addict's strength. If she could become the Tao Addict's disciple, then no one in the 9 heavens divine kingdom would dare to bully her and her mother. She would also have a chance to stand at the peak of the Duhan continent. Yuyan, I don't think Master Yi Chinfeng will stop you from taking the senior as your teacher. Moreover, with the support of the Tao Addict, the villain who wants to kill you and your mother will not dare to do anything to you, Yi Chinfeng said with a smile. What? Someone wants to kill you? The Tao Addict was anxious when she heard that. In the entire Duhan continent, Jiao Yuyan was probably the only heavenly soul body. The heavenly soul body's potential was limitless. If she cultivated to the peak, her strength would definitely surpass the Tao Addict herself. She was the best candidate to inherit his legacy. He would not allow anyone to hurt her. That was all in the past. Jiao Yuyan looked at the smiling Yi Chinfeng and knew that he did it on purpose. She said softly, Tell me, who is so bold to kill my disciple? The Tao Addict said angrily, It was Yong Tianho of the 9 heavens divine kingdom. If I didn't coincidentally meet Yuyan, she would have been killed by him. Yi Chinfeng said from the side, Yong Tianho, how dare he? The Tao Addict said angrily, Let's go, Master will avenge you. Looking at the Tao Addict, who had not even accepted a disciple yet, but was already protecting her disciple, Yen Ryu shook her head lightly. She withdrew her strange vertical eye and said, Fengchen, since there is nothing else, Yilin and I will leave first. Do well in the competition. Many people are looking forward to your performance in the Heavenly Palace competition. Yi Qinfeng frowned slightly and showed a hint of surprise. He could not figure out who was so concerned about him, and Yen Ruyu's sudden appearance to help seemed to be entrusted by someone. Senior, don't worry, I will do my best in the Heavenly Palace competition. Yi Qinfeng nodded and promised. Okay. Yen Ruyu nodded and was about to leave with Hui Yilin. Wait, Senior, I have a red gold blood Ganoderma here. I will give it to you. Under the Tao addict's gaze, Yi Qinfeng gave the red gold blood Ganoderma he just got from him to Yen Ryu, intending to form a good relationship with her. Red gold blood Ganoderma Yen. Ryu had the sun true body, so the benefits of this red gold blood Ganoderma to her were self-evident. Kid, you are really something, giving away the thing I gave you so quickly. The Tao addict said with some dissatisfaction. Senior, I have given you such a good disciple. Can it compare to a red gold blood Ganoderma? Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, In the future, with Yuyan as the go-between, just tell me if you need anything. I will go through water and fire without hesitation. Hearing Yi Qinfeng's promise, the Tao addict showed a satisfied smile. It turns out to be the red gold blood Ganoderma of the old man Dao. I remember that he treasured the red gold blood Ganoderma very much. I didn't expect that he would give it to you. Yen Ryu suddenly bloomed a smile that was 3 times more beautiful than a flower and said, This red gold blood Ganoderma is indeed useful to me. I will not be polite. After that, Yen Ryu took away the red gold blood Ganoderma and left with Hui Yilin. I am also leaving. Remember, you owe me a favor today, but you must repay it tenfold another day. The fairy-like Shui Hanyan walked to Yi Qinfeng's side with a wave of fragrance and said in a delicate voice, Okay. Looking at Shui Hanyan's charming face and thinking that she had just stood up for him, Yi Qinfeng did not say much nonsense and answered painfully. That's more like it. Shui Hanyan showed a trace of a satisfied smile. Accompanied by 2 guards, she left like a proud peacock. Senior Tao addict, Feng Chen, I am also leaving. In the future, I will definitely find you and drink to our heart's content. Black Tortoise also did not stay for long. He respectfully bowed to the Tao addict and turned to leave. Let's go. Take me to find that young Tianhou. I want to see if that guy ate the bear's heart and leopard's gall to dare to hurt my precious disciple. Although Jiao Yiyan had not formally become her disciple, the Tao addict completely regarded her as her own disciple. She wanted to support her and let her know how powerful her master was. No need. Jiao Yiyan was hesitant. No need? Today I will make an example of that young Tianhou and let the people of Jiutian Divine Kingdom know that my disciple is not someone that anyone can bully. The Tao addict said domineeringly. As she spoke, a familiar figure appeared in Yi Qinfeng's sight. Looking at this figure, Yi Qinfeng smiled extremely brightly. He did not expect that young Tianhou would walk into the trap at this critical moment. Senior, the man in a golden robe and a towering crown, is Yong Tianhou. Yi Qinfeng pointed to Yong Tianhou, who had just walked out of Tianjie Square with a gloomy face and a bad mood, and said softly, Let's go and meet that young Tianhou and see if he ate the bear's heart and leopard's gall. The Tao addict's turbid eyes shot out rays of light. She locked onto young Tianhou, who was slowly walking over, and greeted him with Yi Qinfeng and the other 2. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the bookmark below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1147. Boy, stop! The Tao addict, who was wearing a linen robe, stood in front of Yong Tianhou and the others and said coldly, Damn it, do you want to die? If you want to die, I'll help you. Xiao Tianyan's death had filled Yong Tianho's stomach with anger, but he had nowhere to vent it. Now that he saw Yi Qinfeng and Jiao Yan leading an unremarkable old man and a little girl in tattered clothes to block his path, the anger in his heart erupted like a volcano, and he fiercely spoke. Yong Tianho, why are you still so stubborn and threatening my and Yan's lives? Don't you know the law? Yi Qinfeng deliberately dug a hole for Yong Tianho to jump into. Damn it, the law! Yong Tianho didn't know the Tao addict, so he said arrogantly, I am the law. If you piss me off, I have many ways to make you disappear from the world. I even have ways to deal with that bitch Jiao Rao. You can't insult my mother, Jiao Yan said angrily with a red face. I will insult you. What can you do to me? Yong Tianho looked at the blushing Jiao Yan and said, if you and your mother are willing to warm my bed and be my women, I can consider sparing your lives. Otherwise, you can wait for my revenge. Yong Tianho, do you really think you can be fearless with the support of King Tu? Yong Tianho wasn't Yi Qinfeng's ultimate target. His real target was King Tuesday. Haha, boy, you don't know the power of the Lord. Let me tell you, the Lord can crush you like ants. Yong Tianho laughed arrogantly. Slap. Yong Tianho was so proud that he forgot himself. The furious Tao addict slapped him fiercely and sent him flying. Several teeth sprayed out from his mouth along with a lot of blood. He fell heavily on the ground and saw stars. Damn it, how dare you hit me? Yong Tianho covered his face that was slapped by the Tao addict and got up from the ground. He roared like an angry lion. In his anger, a Tao diagram rose up and was ready to launch a fatal blow to the Tao addict. I'm going to hit you. Looking at the bold and arrogant Yong Tianho, the Tao addict was enraged. Her body flashed and appeared in front of him. He shattered the Tao diagram with a single finger. Then he extended his sandal-clad foot and crushed the defense of his body. He kicked him to the ground, causing him to spit out blood and shatter his sternum. Marquis, seeing that Yong Tianho was in danger, his two followers immediately took out 2 Taoist treasures and attacked the Tao addict. They wanted to force the Tao addict back and save Yong Tianho. Scram the Tao addict roared, and a powerful sound wave erupted from her mouth. The terrible sound of the great wave directly shattered the 2 Taoist treasures and sent the 2 followers of Tianho Yong flying. They fell hundreds of meters away and fainted on the spot. You, who the hell are you? Witnessing the scene of the Tao addict breaking the Taoist painting with 1 finger and the 2 Taoist treasures with a roar, Yong Tianho was dumbfounded, coupled with the fact that Yi Qinfeng was trying to get information from him just now. He suddenly felt as if he had fallen into a trap. Who is I? You don't deserve to know, the Tao addict said coldly and arrogantly. Now I order you to send a message to Old Tu and ask him to save you. If he doesn't come in half an hour, I will immediately break your neck. Senior, this may be a misunderstanding. Hearing that the Tao addict asked Heavenly King Tu to come and called him an old man, Yong Tianho was dumbfounded and said in a trembling voice, I don't like to repeat myself. Old Tu, if you don't come in half an hour, don't blame me for taking your life. The Tao addict said emotionlessly, feeling the killing intent from the Tao addict. Yong Tianho was almost scared out of his wits. His whole body trembled even more violently. However, no matter how he begged for mercy, the Tao addict was unmoved. In desperation, he could only take out his communication bead and send a message to Heavenly King Tuesday, Heavenly King Tu, who had been blown away by the Tao addict, didn't want to care about Yong Tianho's business. However, thinking that Yong Tianho was his man and had done a lot for him, he finally rushed over with several masters of the 9 heavens' divine kingdom. How could it be him? When Heavenly King Tu saw the Tao addict sitting on a chair made of Tao will, stepping on Yong Tianho's chest and picking her nose with her fingers, his face changed instantly. He never expected that Yong Tianho would be so blind as to provoke the Tao addict who had just humiliated him and implicate him. He couldn't wait to strangle Yong Tianho to death. Since you are here, why are you hiding? Come over. The Tao addict looked at Heavenly King Tu and others who were standing in the distance and didn't want to come close, and said coldly, Senior, don't be angry. I don't know how Xiao Ping offended you. Do you need me to punish him on your behalf? In the face of the Tao addict, who was far stronger than him and was not afraid of anything, Heavenly King Tu had to put down his pride and asked politely, Senior. Hearing that Heavenly King Tu actually called the Tao addict a senior, Yong Tianho was so scared that his face turned pale and his heart fell into a bottomless abyss. Don't play dumb with me. Let me ask you, is this guy your man? The Tao addict wiped her nose on Yong Tianho's face with her finger and asked in a superior tone. Yes. Heavenly King Tu braced himself and said, Then do you know that he wanted to murder my disciple and kill me? The Tao addict continued to ask, Senior, don't misunderstand. I really don't know about this matter. Heavenly King Tu's face changed, and he quickly denied any involvement. You really don't know? The Tao addict sneered and said, Good disciple, come here and let this old man look at you. Yes, master. Jiao Yuyan slowly walked over and said obediently, Senior, she is your disciple. Heavenly King Tu widened his eyes and looked at Jiao Yuyan, who was as beautiful as a fairy. He couldn't believe it. Yes, Yuyan is the disciple I just accepted. She may be my only disciple and my only successor. You actually tried to murder I's only disciple and let I cover for you. How do you think I should punish you? The Tao addict's voice suddenly turned cold and said coldly, Senior, this may be a misunderstanding. We didn't know that you wanted to accept Miss Yuyan as your disciple. Although the Tao addict was being unreasonable, Heavenly King Tu didn't dare to offend her and didn't dare to anger her. He could only grit his teeth and keep explaining. Okay, I can pretend that you don't know, but this person is too hateful. Relying on your support, he can do whatever he wants. Today, I will take you to punish him. You don't have any objections, right? The Tao addict looked coldly at Heavenly King Tu, who was about to go crazy, and said coldly, No, I don't have any objections to how Senior wants to punish him. At this time, Heavenly King Tu wanted to strangle Yong Tianho, who was causing trouble. How could he support him? No, Prince, save me. Hearing that Heavenly King Tu gave up on him, Yong Tianho was scared out of his wits and shouted loudly. Poof! A streak of blood suddenly splashed out. The Tao addict broke Yong Tianho's heart meridian with one finger and destroyed his cultivation. Old man Tu, remember this. If I find out that you dare to bully my disciple's family, even Di Dao Ju can't protect you. The Tao addict warned coldly, and the Di Dao Ju she was talking about was the current divine emperor of Jutian divine nation. I know, Heavenly King Tu said with humiliation. Okay, there's nothing for you to do here. Take this trash and get out of here as far as you can. The Tao addict grabbed the unconscious and disabled Yong Tianho and threw him to Heavenly King Tu, whose face was livid and trembling with anger. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.